This is Monty in the Morning, the show Phoenix Magazine readers voted #1 talk radio show in Arizona.
#1 during your morning commute.
#1 whenever news breaks during your day.
And #1 whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, how the heck are you? It is Monty in the Morning. 2 sleeps and we out.
Yeah.
Wednesday, August 31st, 2022. Super stoked to be with you today. Big update on the Donovan Mitchell situation. Where are the Utah Jazz going to end up trading Donovan Mitchell? Will the Utah Jazz end up trading Donovan Mitchell? And can the Utah Jazz still make a deal with the Knicks? Or are the Utah Jazz talking to the Washington Wizards? We have all of that for you. Don't forget, starting today, every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, BYU offensive lineman Harrison LaChance will join the show at 8 o'clock every Wednesday morning, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Great to have Papa Murphy's on the show. Make sure that you use the promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your order of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. A lot to get to this morning. One of the things we got to talk about, Jake, is this water shortage thing.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised that you were like, hey, man, we got to talk about the water shortage thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's not if it's not water shortages out west, it's huge storms knocking out facilities and people don't have running water. So whether it's because of you're out of water or because of a storm knocking out your systems, there's a water shortage. Any way you slice it. So I felt like it was definitely pertinent to talk about.
Any way you slice it, we'll do that today as well. By the way, the new iPhone is coming out here in a couple of weeks, like 10 days now, I think.
Something like that, yeah. And it's incredibly overpriced, and people are not amused.
17 hundo for the iPhone Pro Max.
Yeah.
So we got all that coming up. But without further ado, let's get you the very latest on Donovan Mitchell and his situation with the Utah Jazz. Jake, I wonder your thoughts on this, because we heard a lot of talk yesterday about the Jazz and the Knicks, and are the Knicks still in the driver's seat for Donovan Mitchell? And I'm here to tell you, absolutely they are. Now, I know that a lot of people have talked about the Washington Wizards. I know a lot of people have talked about draft picks, unprotected draft picks. Do you see any way, shape, or form that the Washington Wizards can swoop in and steal this from the New York Knicks?
No, and I think that what's really interesting as far as the Wizards are concerned is, if you look around publicly, there's not really been a definitive offer on like, hey, they offered X, Y, and Z, and they feel really good about that. All we're hearing is that they feel really good about the offer that they submitted and feel like they're in, quote, the running for Donovan Mitchell. And my biggest thing here is that still, when you compare the Knicks offer in that 3-team scenario, there is no other team that's going to be able to match that. Now, if you said to me, hey, the Wizards want to get involved as a third team and they want to compete with the Lakers to be that third team, okay, I could totally understand that. I can definitely see that, how the Wizards would want to add,
right,
a Bojan Bogdanovic or maybe a Mike Conley or, whatever the case may be. They want to add a certain player that the Utah Jazz have. I could completely see that, but I just don't see how the Wizards, or frankly, really any other team in the league, is going to come up with the draft compensation and the young players that the Knicks are able to come up with. And so that's why I say, like, today's sort of headline is like, where is Donovan Mitchell going, or where are they going to trade him to? I just think that it's such a wasteland of a ton of teams. And what's funny is you only really have one team in the Knicks who can make that substantial offer. So to me, it just doesn't make sense that Danny Ainge would change course here, deviate, and be on the Knicks for like 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden make a right-hand turn to go to Washington with Donnie. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
But I think one of the things that's very clear is that this R.J. Barrett thing, I think, has exponentially been blown out of proportion. Massively blown out of proportion. I don't believe, and I've said this for months, go back and watch, I don't believe that R.J. Barrett was ever going to be a deal breaker in this trade.
Right.
I think the young talent, the Quickleys, the Grimes, the Toppins, the McBrides. Those are the guys that are going to be the deal makers or breakers for the Knicks. And when I look at the Washington Wizards and I look at their cap, I just don't see the talent there to get a deal for Donovan Mitchell done. Now, I also understand that, obviously, Kyle Kuzma is a guy that has ties to Utah, but does Kyle Kuzma really excite Danny Ainge far more than an RJ Barrett does? I've been told he does not. And I don't think that you have the young talent needed in Washington to make this trade happen. I mean, they barely would have the salary cap number, the salary numbers in total. You'd have to use, I think, 4 players from Washington coming to the Jazz to get those numbers to work just at a minimum threshold.
Yeah.
I think this would be a very difficult deal for Danny Ainge to justify with the Wizards. And, Jake, I still think the Knicks are in the driver's seat on this deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree about the RJ Barrett thing, about it being blown out of proportion and, like, people kind of freaking out over it and, like, in saying, like, oh, well, this means that the deal is dead and RJ can't be moved. And it's like, yes, in certain scenarios and certain complexities, RJ Barrett could still be included in this trade. But I think the bigger thing here that people need to understand is, once again, and I know this is kind of cheesy, but it's a process. Like, I feel like, again, that Leon Rose tried to set this, like, arbitrary deadline and tried to kind of dictate to Danny Ainge, like, hey, you're either going to do the deal or we're going to sign RJ Barrett. Even though we've heard all along that RJ Barrett was not at the core of this deal. And so it just surprises me. Like, frankly, I was surprised that Leon Rose took that approach of, like, setting this deadline and trying to sort of dictate in the situation. And I understand that, both of these organizations can't just sit on the Donovan Mitchell pot for forever and be okay with that. That's not going to work. But to try to set a timeline, leveraging RJ Barrett just didn't make sense to me. I could kind of see if you wanted to leverage Grimes because Grimes has been the coveted player and you want to say, hey, like, we're either going to get a deal done or this current setup is not going to work. We're going to take Grimes off the table. I could see that. That to me makes sense. But this whole RJ Barrett situation, I agree, is blown out of proportion, has I feel like stirred the media drink, if you will. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a deal like still happened. I mean, who would be surprised if Sunday, let's say, or like over the weekend, there was a Woj bomb saying Donnie got traded? I mean, I don't think anybody would really be surprised by that if these two kind of came together.
But if you look at what the Knicks have compared to what the Wizards have, I mean, you start looking at numbers on the Wizards salary cap. I mean, Bradley Beal, $43.2 million, not going to happen. Kristaps Porzingis, $33.8 million, not going to happen. Will Barton, $14.3 million, not going to happen. Then there's Kyle Kuzma at $13 million flat. Okay, let's surmise. Let's just surmise that Kyle Kuzma could be involved in that, which, again, I'm just telling you, I don't see that as a real possibility, talking about the Wizards, that a $13 million Kyle Kuzma number is going to excite Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
But let's just say, because you got to have somebody of value in there, right? So Kyle Kuzma at $13 million, Monty Morris at 9.1. No, that's not of interest.
No.
DeLon Wright, $7.8 million. No. Rui Hachimura, okay, $6.26 million. I think he has to be in the deal. Now, if you put Hachimura and Kyle Kuzma in and add Donovan Mitchell, are you a better team if you're the Washington Wizards? I don't think you are. And that's only halfway to the salary number that you need to get to.
Right.
So right there, if you go down a little bit, Danny Avdija, Johnny Davis, like those are both $4 to $5 million players.
Right.
Okay. Is Taj Gibson somebody that the Jazz would be excited about? Certainly not. This is the Knicks deal to make or not. And I think if the Knicks and Jazz don't make this deal, I've been told that the Jazz have no problem bringing Donovan Mitchell to training camp because I just don't see another deal out there that matches what you're going to get from the Knicks. And again, this is why I've said Leon Rose has handled this very, very well.
Right.
Danny Ainge has handled this very, very well. You can tell they are both savvy operators. Leon Rose did not let this deal interrupt Knick business with RJ Barrett. And I think that, all these reports out there could be true that Danny Ainge had to have RJ Barrett. I have been told the opposite of that RJ Barrett was not a deal breaker, that the Jazz did not want to pay RJ Barrett, and now that he could make up to $120 million.
Yeah.
It makes sense that you wouldn't want to extend him if you trade Donovan Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
I think this deal can still be put together. It is simply, does Leon want to give up Emmanuel quickly? And I guess Grimes. Are you really telling me? And I know I said this yesterday, I'm sorry, but are you really telling me that Quentin Grimes is the deal breaker in a Donovan Mitchell New York Knicks deal?
Yeah, that sounds kind of silly,
Man.
right? If you really kind of get into that and sort of digest it a bit, it does sound kind of silly for the Knicks to say, yeah, we're not going to do a Donovan Mitchell deal because we don't want to give up Quentin Grimes. And to me, it's kind of the price you pay. Like, if you want that premier player, that win-now player, you have to give up your future. You can't have it both ways. Like, that's why I think when you look at like the Golden State Warriors model and what they've put together, that's why it's so special, because they've been able to accomplish what few teams have, which is, hey, we're winning now, we're at the top of the sport now, but we also have our future on the roster. And so with this Knicks and Donovan Mitchell thing, I'm not suggesting that Leon Rose has some expectation that Danny Ainge would allow the Knicks to have their win now guy and their future. But I just think that Leon this is a tough task. I have to be honest. Like, because of where Donovan Mitchell is as a player, this conversation would be way easier if you could legitimately and comfortably say, yeah, if we sign Donovan Mitchell, we're Eastern Conference Finals, contender, no doubt about it. Like, if you could say that the way you can say it with guys like Kevin Durant or, the other, whatever name you want to come up with.
Right.
This conversation, like, this deal would probably be done already, I feel like, because at that point, then you're like, yeah, I am willing to give up Grimes. I am willing to, give up my significant future assets because I want to win now. So I'm not trying to make it an indictment on Donovan Mitchell. I just think it's where he's at as a player. It's where he's at in his career arc. So we'll see. But I just think that at some point, this conversation has to like be put on pause or the deal has to get done. Like, you have to get to the business of moving on now, whether that is doing the deal or whether that is saying, hey, we're going to pause or we're going to, just kind of put talks on hold for the first month of the season, let's say, or, whatever they decide to do. I just think we're getting close now. What's today? Today's the 31st of August. Like, you're basically going into September now. Camp is a month away. Like, you're not far away here, man. Like, yeah. It's time to get moving on this Donovan Mitchell stuff. And I just think that, more so for the Knicks than the Jazz, in my opinion. But you got to know who you're going into camp with. You do. And that starts with your star player. So I think they got to figure it out, like, quickly, very fast.
Yeah, I would agree. This hour of the show is presented by Barbecue Pit Stop. Make sure that you check them out online at barbecuepitstop.com, bbqpitstop.com. Check them out in Layton, Lehigh, Logan, Salt Lake City, and St. George. Just simply put, the best barbecue equipment store in the business. I mean, no matter where you are, you can shop online. If you're not close to one of their stores, feel free to get to their website, bbqpitstop.com. A full selection, whether it's a smoker, a barbecue grill, maybe you're still that briquette guy, which, man, you got to get out of the Stone Age. I'm telling you, to get into a Traeger smoker, they are unbelievable. Whether it is their Ironwood series, their Timberline series, no matter where you're going, I love Traeger, but they also have Yoder's, Big Green Eggs, your flavor. They've got it at Barbecue Pit Stop in Logan, Layton, Lehigh, St. George, and Murray. Don't forget, we'll be there at the Lehigh location on September 17th. Super stoked to tell you we're going to have Papa Murphy's Pizza on hand for you. We're going to smoke it. We're going to have wings on hand for you. We're going to smoke those. All of their great rubs and spices will be on hand. It's going to be an amazing day as we watch BYU and Utah, or excuse me, BYU and Oregon. I must make that mistake 3 times a week.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
We'll watch BYU and Oregon, a watch party. Then at halftime of the BYU-Oregon game, we are going to announce the winner of our BYU drive-away to see BYU and Notre Dame at the Shamrock Series in Las Vegas, where you are going to get 2 tickets to that game. You're going to get 2 nights at the Palms Resort Hotel and Casino and a $250 gas card to get you there. It is our BYU Notre Dame Shamrock Series drive-away in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, if you have not been there.
Amazing.
Spectacular.
Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely spectacular. And with football kicking off, you've got about 10 days to get to the barbecue pit stops here in Utah. Again, they are in Logan, Lehigh, Layton, Salt Lake City, and St. George. There's a box on the counter. Fill out the slip, drop it in, and you could be going to see BYU and Notre Dame.
Quick life hack, really quick, with barbecue pit stop. So you can go in to enter our contest, right? But when you go in there, ask them about winning a smoker. We've had multiple listeners go in to enter our contest, but then when they went in, they also entered to win a smoker because Barbecue Pit Stop themselves gives away smokers all the time. So if you're somebody and you're saying, hey, I want to get a smoker, or I want to, whatever the case may be, I want to get a certain thing from Barbecue Pit Stop, odds are they're doing a giveaway of some kind. So we've actually had 2 people in the last, I think probably 2 months or so on the different giveaways Barbecue Pit Stop do.
Within the last 3 weeks.
Within the last 3 weeks.
Lauren Miller won it.
Yeah.
And then Dwayne
Boone
won it. It's crazy how many people have won a Traeger smoker on this show.
So ask them about it. Ask them, because we've given away a Traeger on the show. 2 of our listeners have then gone into Barbecue Pit Stop and won a Traeger. So if you want one, if you're interested in a smoker, go in there. If you're not interested in a smoker, still go in there. Check out the seasonings. I'm just going to say it once. Italian Chop House seasoning. You're welcome. Go and buy it.
That's amazing.
Yes,
absolutely
go and buy
amazing.
it. Go and buy it.
So, having said all that, check them out online, bbqpitstop.com. That is how you're going to get the hookup at Barbecue Pit Stop. Hey, by the way, Big 12 breaking news coming up in 14 minutes right here on Monty in the Morning. We will have huge news regarding the Big 12. Don't forget, in an hour and 15 minutes, Harrison LaChance, BYU offensive lineman, will join us to get you ready for BYU and USF. Don't forget, that game is Saturday, 2 o'clock Mountain Time. Doesn't that make it 10 a.m. Maui, Kona, Hawaii time? Yeah, we're going to be in Hawaii on Saturday.
Hell yeah.
For that game. By the way, something to consider. BYU is a 12-point favorite in that game.
Dude.
12 points on the road in South Florida at Raymond James Stadium. BYU is a 12-point favorite.
Dude,
we'll talk to Harrison LaChance coming up again. I want to remind everybody that Harrison LaChance and our BYU drive-away, Papa Murphy's is involved in that. We're kicking off here in 3 minutes our Football at 50 segment, brought to you by Papa Murphy's. Use promo code Monty25. MONTY, Monty25. When you order your Papa Murphy's pizza, it gets you 25% off an order of $25 or more. That saves you about $7.
Yeah.
So that's really good money. So a couple other things I want to get to because, again, as football season is, we're days away from kickoff now. We are going to be doing Football at 50, 10 to the hour, every hour. We bring you the biggest stories in football. That's coming up here in about 2 minutes. We'll get back to Knicks and Jazz, as well as this breaking news story that we're going to get to in a minute on Football at 50. So all of that is coming up on the show. We'll get back to Knicks and Jazz. But I just want to say, I see all the Knicks fans and the Jazz fans here. My bottom line on Knicks and Jazz, this is a Knicks deal to walk away from or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as we have talked about for, weeks, the most pertinent question when it comes to Don and the Knicks, is it time for the New York Knicks to walk away from this deal? Because they've offered, I have confirmed it through multiple sources, the New York Knicks have offered the Utah Jazz as many as 3 unprotected first-round picks, and Danny said no. Danny wants 4, which is why the Knicks went out and got the Lakers, as we reported last week. Lakers and Jazz and Knicks had a deal done in that, and I want to be careful because I know this freaked a bunch of people out. They had 4 unprotected first-round picks going to the Jazz in that deal. And the simple part of it was the Knicks just didn't want to include IQ. They didn't want to include Quentin Grimes and Obi Toppin. Like, they didn't want to give away all of their young players and 2 of their own picks for Donovan Mitchell. And I think they could have added a Jordan Clarkson. They could have added other pieces there. I just don't think that Leon Rose has enough of an appetite for Donovan Mitchell to say, you know what? Yep, we're going to give up 3 young players, 2 unprotected first-round picks. I just don't think Leon Rose is there.
Yeah.
I really don't. All right, let's get to football at 50, 10 to the hour. Every hour, we're bringing you the biggest stories in football, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Make sure you use promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your Papa Murphy's order. You can order online. They have a great, easy-to-use app. All you got to do is plug in promo code Monty25. Breaking news this morning out of the Big 12. The Big 12 enters early TV negotiations with ESPN and Fox. Pete Thamel had this story first about 15 minutes ago. This is a big, big deal. If you are a Big 12, Pac-12 merger fanatic, this is a big one. This is so smart by the Big 12. I think this is incredibly smart, because now what it's going to allow you to do by entering early negotiations with Fox and ESPN, it's going to allow you to put a dollar value on your membership and those prospective universities that you are looking to add. I'm talking about you, San Diego State. I think that is the big prize in Southern California. And when you look at what the current situation in the Pac-12 is, you don't have a California TV market south of the Bay Area. So you've got Berkeley, then a little bit below that, you've got Stanford and Palo Alto, and then you have nothing. San Diego State is a huge bargaining chip for the Pac-12 and the Big 12. And Jake, I think this is a big deal that the Big 12 is going to early negotiations with Fox and ESPN.
Yeah, it's exactly what they should be doing. I think that your point there about valuations and kind of putting a number on the different opportunities, whether it is San Diego State or any other school that would be considering entering the Big 12, like, I don't know, some school called Utah. I think it's really important that you kind of put numbers to this and understand what you're really looking at and what the TV money looks like for these different markets. And yeah, San Diego State, because of what you just described, is ultra important to the Big 12, in my opinion. And I know, we talked 2 weeks ago about how there's politics out there in Stillwater, and you've got, some folks who don't want San Diego State in the Big 12, but, frankly, it's California, and geographically speaking, the Big 12 could use a little bit of spreading out, in my opinion, specifically West. So I think this is smart. I think that the Big 12 is, like I said, I think the third tier conference when you look at the national landscape. I think eventually college football turns into this 2-conference sort of juggernaut, but until that time, I think if you're the Big 12, you just have to proceed forward and understand that the Pac-12 is getting dissolved. As we're referring to it now, the Pac is dissolving. And I think the Big 12 understands that it needs to define, those different markets so it can do business. So this, to me, is brilliant.
Yeah, Football 50 presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. As we talk about the breaking news this morning that the Big 12 has entered early TV negotiations with Fox and ESPN, and I think this is a predatory move. That's the best word that I've been able to come up with. I think when you look at the Big 12 and you look at what Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, is doing, he is telling the Pac-12, we are valuing all of your assets, and we are ready to come in with a hostile takeover.
Yeah, it's like Monopoly, right? Like you're the guy selling all your houses, and the other guys got to value them all. That's exactly what this is.
Well, and frankly, I don't think the Pac-12 wants to sell all their other houses. To be fair, I think that the Pac-12 realizes now that they're in real trouble. And if you look across this country and you look about, the available real estate in college football, there's not much. Mm-hmm. And when you start to look at places like the ACC, you look at, stories of the past, like the Big East is a really interesting example of a conference that essentially has disappeared. And you look at where the ACC is. You look at where the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are. One of those conferences is going away. Maybe all three of them go away. I don't know. But I can tell you in the near term, the Big 12 or the Pac-12 is going away. And my feeling is Brett Yormark is doing the exact right thing here. He is going to do everything that he can do to eviscerate and evaporate the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I will just again say, if I am the Big 12, I am going after San Diego State. I am going after Utah. I'm going after the Arizona schools. I think if you're the Big 12, you'd really like to add Cal and Stanford. But the other thing that this does that a lot of people aren't talking about is I think this puts the Big 10 on notice to say, hey, now the Big 12 is activated. Because what did we see Brett Yormark do over the last couple of weeks? Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark was traveling the conference, talking to presidents, meeting with his membership, trying to get a real firm grasp and build a foundation that allowed the conference to move in the same direction, unified together, which is exactly what the Pac-12 has not done.
Correct.
Which is how USC and UCLA wound up in the Big Ten. But I could tell you, Commissioner Warren in the Big Ten, they're ready to move. They don't have to wait. They can do whatever they would like to do. And now it would appear that this is that domino that we've talked about. Somebody's going to push the dominoes over and they're all going to fall. I think that's exactly what the Big 12 very well may have done this morning by opening up negotiations early with Fox and ESPN, because I think ESPN has played this perfectly, by the way. I think ESPN knew if they got in early on the SEC that they would save money. They knew if they pulled out of the Big Ten negotiations, they would save money. And I think they are going to leverage a deal where there is a merger between the Big 12 and the Pac-12. The next time I hear that will not be the first time that ESPN has a vested interest in seeing these two conferences come together, because all that's going to do is flood ESPN with content, because then ESPN gets one big conference where they can have, Pac-12 after dark. Well, they can have Big 12, Pac-12 combo, whatever that conference winds up being called.
Yep.
They can have all those teams in one pot. They can have multiple late window games that they can dominate. They can then compete with Fox and NBC on this Saturday late night package that NBC announced that they're going to have with the Big Ten. I think there's a lot here, Jake. I think that the Big 12 and ESPN have acted really decisively and very wisely when it comes to the business of college football.
Absolutely, and I think the Big 12 and in the Big 10, I think it makes sense to me that those two conferences would be talking. The commissioners of those two conferences would talk, and they'd say, okay, we got to eat up the Pac-12. Like, hey, we're the Big Ten. We're going to take this group of teams that we've talked about ad nauseum, the Oregons, the Washingtons. We're going to take some of these teams, and then you guys can have the rest. And frankly, I think a lot of people characterize that, hey, you guys can have the rest portion as a bunch of trash that wasn't valuable. But I think this whole concept of the conference talking to ESPN has made it valuable. They've found a way to make it valuable. And I'm telling you, and it's not going to happen tomorrow or even in the next 5 years, but I'm telling you, inside of a decade, college football will be two super conferences running the entire country in the SEC and the Big Ten. And these moves right here to swallow up the Pac-12, you're going to get rid of the Pac-12, and that's going to turn into, obviously, the Big Ten and the Big 12. And then I think eventually the ACC is next on the chopping block, in my opinion. Not now. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a month from now.
Boy, but you've been saying that for a minute. Why do you feel like the ACC is that team that's vulnerable?
Because I don't think that the ACC, from a football standpoint, has any sort of punching power. That is a basketball conference, and I think when you get down to it, what speaks and what pulls weight in college athletics? Well, money. Yeah. And I think that when you look at the SEC, they've led the way in meaningful football revenue generation, TV contracts. Like, they've been leading the way. And I'm telling you, the Big Ten is in the middle of all of this. They're not the number one conference in the country, but they're the one that's making the most moves. And so that's why I say I think eventually, again, not tomorrow, not in a month, not even in 5 years, but I'm talking about like from big picture, decade to decade. I would not be surprised if we saw a lot more of this like conference disappearing stuff.
And you see on the screen Pete Thamel, ESPN College Football Insider, tweeting this just about 25 minutes ago now. The Big 12 and its TV partners, Fox and ESPN, have agreed to enter early contract discussions about the league's next television deal. The conversations will begin soon and come a year and a half before the contract's exclusive negotiating window. This is a big, big deal in college football.
By the way, Utah, you might want to win against Florida this week.
Well,
just pointing that out.
And I'll put that Kyle Whittingham quote back on the screen where Kyle talked about, hey, it's important for the Pac-12 to make noise on a national scene whenever we get the opportunity like that. We have to make the most of it. If you want to gain respect, gain national attention, you got to come out and win some of those games. Hopefully we can go down there, Gainesville, and play like we're capable of. That's Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham right there. I mean, I think
It's just on point.
He is acutely aware of what's on the line for Utah and the Pac-12 when his Utes, number 7 in the country, Saturday at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, a 3-point favorite at the Swamp against Florida. This is a big moment in time for Utah. This is a big moment in time for the Pac-12. So, wow, what a way to kick off our first Football at 50.
Hell yeah.
Presented by Papa Murphy's with big breaking news. The big breaking news is Papa Murphy's Pizza is amazing.
It is.
We talk about this all the time. We just talked about Barbecue Pit Stop. If you have not smoked a Papa Murphy's Pizza, and the best part about Papa Murphy's Pizza, it's take and bake. You make it, you customize it any way you want. They build the pizza for you. And the nice thing about Papa Murphy's is they have a really easy online setup. You can use their app, which I do. I'm a member. You sign up. It's free to have it. They give you points. So they give you free things like desserts. When you order, pizza from them, you order enough pizza, they give you free chocolate chip cookies that you can bake. Like, they have all these great, items to just help you get free dessert.
Yeah.
And now with Papa Murphy's, if you enter promo code Monty25 at checkout, you get 25% off your order at $25 or more. All you do is go online. They have gluten-free crust. They have regular crust. Like, my favorite pizza at Papa Murphy's is a custom pizza.
Yeah.
Traditional crust. I get barbecue sauce.
Yeah, barbecue sauce is a pizza hack. I mean, just flat out is a pizza hack. And I think that, that's the cool thing here. Like, if you don't eat a lot of pizza, try Papa Murphy's. And if you are thinking about smoking pizza but not sure, come to the event. We'll show you how to smoke pizza. That's literally one of the reasons why we partnered with Papa Murphy's, because we smoke pizza a ton already, and we wanted to share that. And it's a huge thing. And we didn't know anything about it before we had a smoker.
Yeah.
So it's one of our favorite things now.
And now it's absolutely changed the game. So you put that barbecue sauce, you put the cheese on there. Now, I'm typically a sausage guy when I get my pizza. But at Papa Murphy's, usually I get mushroom, their onion mix, which is fabulous, and green onions with a little bit of pineapple. More cheese on top of that. You throw it on a 425-degree smoker. I don't know. What do you think? 25 minutes?
Yes, and make sure it comes on when they make the pizza. It comes on a little paper sort of tray of some, it's not actually paper. They call it a paper tray, but it's it's heat resistant. You can put it in your oven, on your smoker. Leave it on the tray. Pop that thing in the oven or the smoker, preferably the smoker, and just go for 25, 30 minutes, depending on how crispy you want it.
I would
I'm
tell
hungry.
you 25 minutes, the crust is perfect. The Monty Show, welcome in. It's good to see you here, friends. We have a lot going on this morning. Don't forget, 1 hour from right now, Harrison LaChance, BYU offensive lineman, will join us every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Harris will be here to talk BYU football, presented by
Papa Murphy's.
Papa Murphy's Pizza. Tomorrow, by the way, on the show, we have another huge sponsor announcement. So we're kind of ballers at this point.
We're
moving.
What I'm saying? And by the way, I have to say, I know we're going to get to sports here again, but I have to say you guys have done an incredible job at Barbecue Pit Stop. They are thrilled. They are super happy. They're going to continue on the show. We're really pleased, and we're really, happy about it.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game. We need you guys to support our sponsors, and we really appreciate when you guys do that. I mean, we're all here for the sports and the lifestyle, and Jake calling me fat every day. Like, that's what we're here for. Fat. But you supporting our sponsors is absolutely a part of that. Let's get back to the Knicks and the Jazz, because
get back to it.
I actually think this is a big deal. The latest on the Donovan Mitchell trade rumors is now all of a sudden the Washington Wizards, according to sources across the NBA, believe that they have put themselves in a position to make a competitive offer for Donovan Mitchell, one that Danny Ainge would like. I just don't believe that they can. I mean, the talent on their roster that would be coming back in return for Don isn't even close to an Emmanuel Quickley, even an Obi Toppin. And I don't by any stretch believe that Obi Toppin is some kind of superstar. But I think that when you're talking about a Hachimura or a Kuzma, I don't get excited about that. And when you look at the money that would have to come back in return, you're talking about probably 4 players at a minimum to make this Jazz Wizards deal work 1v1. You're looking at 4 players at a minimum, and Kyle Kuzma is almost certainly having to be one of those players.
Yeah.
I just don't see how that works. And I look at the deal the Knicks can make with the Jazz, and if you can get the Lakers involved in that deal where the Lakers end up with Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic, they give up 2 first-round picks that are unprotected to the Jazz. The Knicks get in on that deal. They give up 2 first-round picks that are unprotected to the Jazz. And you add a guy like even if it is Emmanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin, that to me, 4 unprotected first-round picks, Quickley, Toppin, the veterans to make that deal work, and Evan Fournier, a Cam Reddish. If you've got to take back Russell Westbrook's $47 million, hey, I'm all good with that. That deal works to me. The Knicks win, the Lakers win, the Jazz win. That's how trade circles go round and round in this league.
Yeah.
Leon Rose was not willing to make that deal on Monday. Is he willing to make that deal by Friday? I have no idea. Is he willing to make that deal by the time training camp starts? My guess is he will. At some point, Leon Rose, if the Knicks and the Jazz continue to talk, and my sources tell me they are, I got to believe that Leon Rose is going to come to the middle because he really has resisted on, and again, I have a hard time. It's even hard for me to say that we're not making this deal over Quentin Grimes.
Yeah.
Like, with all due respect to Quentin Grimes.
Right.
And he's a fabulous young talent.
And with all due respect.
Has Quentin Grimes shown you anything that makes you say, well, we got to hang on to him from I mean, Donovan Mitchell's a hell of a player, but we can't give up Quentin Grimes.
Well, in this concept that the Knicks need another guy, like you're clearly in win now mode. You're clearly in chasing a deep playoff run, like making a difference, like being a contender, being relevant. That's what the mode the Knicks are in, and I just think that I agree with Knick fans in this whole concept of, hey, you can't give up the farm for Donovan Mitchell because then you can't go and do more like during your offseason. Like it really limits your options. I agree with that concept, but I also agree with the concept that if the Lakers are willing to give up those 2 unprotected first-round picks and you are only giving up 2 unprotected first-round picks, that big hurdle about the picks is out of the way. It's taken care of. The Lakers are happy with Conley and Bogdanovic or some form or fashion of that portion. So the Lakers are good. This is like as a third team, you're good to go there. The green light is on. It's just a matter of Grimes and these players, this player combination, it feels like at this point. And to not do a deal for Donovan Mitchell over Grimes, to me, is just silly, man. Like, crazy. Like, do the deal. Go and make other deals after the Donovan deal. Ride the media wave. Ride the positivity. Ride the train that is Donovan Mitchell in Knicks threads. And see what happens.
I'm sorry, did you say Knicks threads?
Yes, dude.
So you mean the fit that he would wear?
Yes. Yes, that's right. That's right. That's correct.
That's awesome. I don't think there's any doubt this is a Knicks deal. I just don't. I think all this other stuff is smokescreens, the Charlottes, the Wizards. That's cool, man, that you want to get in and make a deal for Donovan Mitchell. the Knicks got you beat here.
Yeah.
Leon Rose, if he wants to make this trade, he can make this trade. I would be really surprised, just knowing the way that the Jazz have operated through this whole thing. I'd be really surprised if Donovan Mitchell wore any other shirt that wasn't a Knicks shirt. I mean,
all due respect.
Even the Heat. The Heat would, I think, with what the Heat have in-house right now, they'd have to make a 4-team deal to get this to work.
I just don't think the Heat are a contender.
And the other thing here, the question you got to ask yourself is, we've heard all about a Charlotte, Lakers, Jazz 3-team deal.
Right.
What are the Lakers going to get out of a Charlotte deal? Is Terry Rozier enough of a guy? Because let's say that Charlotte ends up with Donovan Mitchell, which I think is a pipe dream. Let's say the Knicks are out of this altogether. Charlotte ends up with Donovan Mitchell, and they're willing to give up a Terry Rozier and a Gordon Hayward, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Is Danny Ainge interested in acquiring Gordon Hayward for Donovan Mitchell?
No.
Are the Lakers really hell-bent? Now that they got Pat Bev, are you really trying to sell me that they're going to take a Terry Rozier? That math doesn't add up for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's not a championship roster in LA.
Yeah, I think if I'm Danny Ainge, I'm not interested in Gordon. I am somewhat interested in Terry Rozier. I think. See, here's the thing. The Lakers portion of any conversation is very straightforward. We've got these 2 unprotected first-round picks, and we want Bogdanovich or Conley, or both. Bogdanovich really is the value piece for them because they need the three-point shooter in the corner. That's what the Lakers need. And I just look at these other teams, like I almost feel like it's just a melting pot of these fringe teams who want to be involved but can't do what the Knicks can do, and we're just hearing a lot of noise around it. And I'm a big believer when it comes to NBA trades and how business is done to keep it simple. Like, it's very much, in my opinion, a line item thing for the most part. Hey, first hurdle is for Danny is I need 4 unprotected first-round picks. That's the first hurdle in any Donovan Mitchell trade. That's what we've heard consistently. We can all agree on that. Okay, check that off, right? We've got that covered. 2 from the Lakers, 2 from the Knicks, right? Okay, other teams looking at this are saying, okay, well, we could replace those 2 that the Knicks are offering, so we can check that off. Then when we get to the players, that's when the separation occurs because the Knicks have so many young players that Danny Ainge covets, and other teams don't have that opportunity. I think we can definitively say Danny Ainge would be way more interested in a Quentin Grimes young player package than he would be in Gordon Hayward or Terry Rozier. So that's why I say
I agree with that.
Like these other teams,
I agree with that.
Like these other teams, like it's all fine and dandy. You have picks, but if you don't have the young players to go with the picks, you're not in the running. So let's stop talking about the Wizards or or Toronto at one point. Like it's going to come down to Quentin Grimes.
Which is, again, not to be redundant, that's crazy to me. All right, 45 minutes from now, Harrison LaChance, BYU offensive lineman, will join us to get us ready for USF. He is going to join us every Wednesday morning, thanks to our friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. All right, first in this morning, and we have a lot of comments today.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, listen, really, it is so humbling to us that you guys show up here every day. We talk NBA, we talk college football, we talk NFL. We never talk baseball, even though we'd like to. Aaron Judge hit another home run last night. Fat Albert Pujols did not, thankfully, or at least I don't think he did. Good morning, Neville93. First one in today. Good morning, fellas. I feel like the whole state of Utah is burned out with the trade talk about Donovan Mitchell.
Yes, they are.
Amen to that.
Amen, bro.
Kurt Meyer says aloha. Aloha.
Aloha.
2 flights or 2 sleeps in a plane flight.
Let's go, baby.
And we are in Hawaii, yo.
Hawaii.
We'll be there on Friday afternoon. Note to Danny Ainge, do not trade Donovan Mitchell Friday morning.
Swear to God, Danny.
Wait, you want to be under the news cycle, right?
Yeah, Saturday morning. It's fine. Saturday morning, we're good.
They did trade Rudy on a Friday, July 1st. I mean, let's see. Dave Heath says, good morning, the best talk show. Thank you. Appreciate that. Zayman says, the Doppler Don radar removing the Jazz from his media. A trade seems to be on the radar. Sucks. I want Doppler to stay. Doppler.
The Donnie Doppler radar is in full effect.
Are we making too much out of this Donovan Mitchell social media thing?
Yes. Look, I think that it goes to one of the first comments you read there, that the state of Utah and probably just basketball fans generally speaking are burned out on this Donovan Mitchell situation. And I don't blame you guys. I'm burned out on it. We've literally had conversations on this show about the fact that we're burned out on it. So I think everyone's in agreement on that. And I just think that's why I keep saying, at some point here, you got to, crap or get off the pot, as the saying is. Like, you got to move on from this, bro.
That's not the saying.
Well, I'm trying to be nicer with our language because now we have sponsors and, like 3 months ago, I probably would have said it the right way. But, I'm trying to be considerate.
Yes, I would agree with you. And I put the pictures of Don's social media up there. I mean, listen, there's one thing I want to point out to everybody because I think this matters. If you look at this right here, do you see where you have that link under the Be Humble with the hands right there? That's a link to Adidas basketball. That's a link to a promotion. Okay, so that's one. Then if you look at his Instagram, you'll notice there's also a link there. That is a link to a promotion that he's doing with a grocery store. A lot of guys in this league do not have their team affiliations on their social media.
Yeah.
And when you look at his social, and again, I just point you to both of these. This is his Instagram. There's his Twitter. He has got branded content links now added to his social media. Was the Utah Jazz there previously? Absolutely it was. Is this some huge deal where the world is coming to an end? I don't think it is. I think we make way too much out of this.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Pudge NYC, what's up with you, my friend? What's up, Monty and Son? Congrats to Broadway Barrett on getting that bag. Well deserved.
Broadway Barrett, I like that.
You know what? RJ got paid.
Yeah.
And I always think it's funny when guys like RJ get paid, there's always the haters coming out of the woodwork. You understand that now he is paid generationally, $120 million. His kids will never want for anything.
Yeah.
So there's the old saying, that, easy times make soft men. Well, there's a bunch of soft men coming in RJ Barrett's tree, right? Because the guy just got paid a huge amount of money. And Pudge, I agree with you. Good for you, RJ. You got paid. JP Shanahan, what's up, my guy? He says, think the fan base has gotten burned out on this whole is he staying or is he going thing. By the way, read yesterday that Mitchell deleted his Jazz section on his Twitter bio.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Yep.
Rudy Gobert, by the way, Rudy Gobert still doesn't have anything in his bio. Like, I think we get too involved in the bio stuff. If Donovan had gone and deleted every picture out of his Twitter stuff, okay, maybe I could see that. He didn't do
Twitter's
that.
Been going crazy.
He didn't do that. Teddy Wayman, what's up with you, my friend? Good to see you. Troy Cushing says, good morning, Monty and Jake. So where is Donnie Doppler at today? LOL. Keep up the great work. Love your show as always. Thanks, Troy.
I love that the Donnie Doppler's catching on.
But honestly, I see there's some bright colors on the Donnie Doppler radar. There's
a little yellow, not quite red.
No, there's quite a bit of red and blue from the Wizards, East Coast, West Side stuff. I don't know. The Donnie Doppler, I think it's 65-35. He winds up in training camp with the Jazz. 65-35.
I just think Danny's not going to acquiesce. Danny is not going to come off the price.
No,
and
I
agree. Think that if you're Danny Ainge, you haven't come this far.
Why would you?
Exactly. Like, you haven't come this far through all these conversations and texts and phone calls and communications to wake up tomorrow and be like, Grimes doesn't have to be in the deal. Let's just do this and move on. Like, that's not Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is going to say, price is the price, take it or leave it, and that's it.
That's who we are.
Yeah, and that's where we are right now.
Good morning, Giggity. Good to see you, friend. Hope Phoenix is treating you well. M. Alvarez, what's up, my guy? Kanai Johnson, how the heck are you? Rudy Sanchez says, morning, fellas. Appreciate your time and effort for us casuals. Keep it up. Thanks, Rudy. By the way, Gene Stream Gamer got his T-shirt.
Hey.
Finally.
Dude, I told you, bro, it takes so long, man. And really,
crazy.
I don't know why. It's just a shirt. It's not like I'm sending Donovan Mitchell to the Philippines, bro. It's a shirt.
I mean, it weighs less than a pound.
Come on.
So our casual T-shirt. Our guy, Gene Stream Gamer, who watches the show in the Philippines because he's a Jordan Clarkson fan, believe it or not, Jordan's got a lot of fans. We actually have a nice little contingent of Filipino listeners.
Yes.
And Filipinos and Filipina. And so quite a few have bought shirts, and we've sent them over.
You're casual.
It takes 6-8 weeks to get them there.
It's kind of ridiculous
how long it takes. Hello, Billy. What's up? Morning, fellas. Wondering if you guys have thought Don scrubbing the Jazz, along with Louisville, from his bio on socials. Louisville's another one.
Yeah.
Is Don being traded away from the Cardinal?
Excellent strategy, sir.
Let's see. East Blue Drew says no team has what the Knicks got. Totally agree with that. 100% agree with that. Jimmy Touchdown gives us a $5 tip. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate you. College football kickoff tomorrow. Ohio State is blocking Big Ten expansion, and you two are talking Jazz. Utah Jizz, he says. Preseason trade rumors, not a legit sports show. Look, I
just don't know how we've ever done it.
I don't know. This show sucks so bad.
Yeah,
like,
it's really
terrible.
it's really an embarrassment, and maybe what we should do. Let's just call Papa Murphy's. We'll use our own promo code, and we'll have some pizza. That's what we'll do.
Monty 25. We'll get 25% off a $25 purchase at Papa Murphy's Pizza.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to just run off the set now and turn the smoke around? Because I can do that.
I think that's what we should do.
I can do that.
Yeah. Let's see. Pudge MIC says no, Grimes will be traded. Caleb says Danny Ainge is smart. Why the F would he want Barrett's shooting splits and poor creation?
Facts.
Could be. East Blue Drew says yes. Exactly right. Rance, what's up, Rance? Good to see you, bro. Nah, he's gone. Just a matter of time. It's a rebuild. Okay. Major Money Entertainment TV says no. Only Leon feels that way after the logo said he'd be better than RJ. Okay.
Feels what way?
I don't know. Cash Out James just puts a bunch of laughing emojis. East Blue Drew says, we ain't giving up Grimes, LOL. Is Quentin Grimes really that guy? And I'm serious.
And it's a legit question.
Is he that guy? Because if you refuse, let's say Leon doesn't make this deal, right? Leon Rose says, I'm not trading for Donovan Mitchell because in 40 minutes, Harrison LaChance from BYU is going to be on Monty's show. Brought to you by Papa Murphy's Pizza.
Monty 25. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Use it.
Is Leon Rose really not going to make a Donovan Mitchell trade to keep Quentin Grimes? Somebody asked me about that on Monday and was like, that doesn't make any sense.
If they don't do the Donnie deal to keep Grimes and Grimes never pans out, how are you feeling as a Knicks fan? Are you pissed? Are you like, yeah, well, that was the right choice and it is
the
what it is?
microscope that Quentin Grimes will be under this season if they don't trade him is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Caleb says, Grimes has done nothing. Why are both teams hung up on him? Don't know. Pudge MIC says, take Fournier, Grimes, McBride, and Obi and 3 unprotected picks.
Nope. 4. Flat out, it's 4. I mean, that's what the price has been.
I'm the guy that's hung up on Emmanuel Quickly. I think you got to have him.
Well, he's shown you something. That's the thing.
I think you got to have him.
He's shown you.
East Blue Drew says, y'all crazy.
I know.
Cash Out James says, he said we have to give up our future. I don't know about that. Kay Nurin. Good morning, Kay. You cannot dictate to Danny. He's not going to be intimidated to do what you want. He will keep Don if you don't pay his price. New York will find this out. I think both Leon and Danny have done a really good job here. I'll just continue to say that. A lot of people would have folded by now.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have folded. John Hawthorne, good morning, says it's all about the picks. Jazz want 4 picks, want to give 2. I think it's about unprotected first-round picks. I know it's about unprotected first-round picks.
But here's my thing. The picks are taken care of because of the Lakers. We know for a fact that the Lakers want to be a third team in this deal.
Yeah.
So the Lakers being a third team with their 2 unprotected first-round picks makes this deal a lot easier. That's why I'm saying, I'm not saying you're wrong that the picks absolutely matter. That they 1,000% matter. But what I'm saying is that because the picks are covered already, essentially, that it really just comes down to that package of players. And I tend to agree with you. Well, if we're talking Quickly versus Grimes, I'm taking Quickly. Like, I think you have to take Quickly now. Like, that's not even a conversation.
And I'm curious. I don't know what people think, but I think right now that if you look at Quentin Grimes, I mean, arguably his, arguably his biggest asset right now is probably his defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at this Knicks team, are you counting on Quentin Grimes to put the ball in the hole? You're probably not.
No.
I mean, the way they're currently constructed, and if you, let's say you keep him and you bring in Don, I think you're still not counting on him to be an offensive force.
No, I mean, at that point, he is strictly a developmental project. You're letting him sit behind guys like Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell. You're basically sitting him behind the 8-9 guy rotation that you're running out there, and then he's going to get minutes in garbage time, and that's okay with where he's at. And that, I think that's kind of the point, if I'm being honest. The Grimes thing is not about who he is today or the fact that he hasn't done anything yet. The Grimes portion is, hey, what could this guy be? And that, I'm telling you, 2 years from now, when we look back on this deal either being done or not being done and the ramifications for each of those paths, that's the nuts and bolts of this conversation.
I agree. You're going to look to somebody is going to be the winner and the loser. Not today.
No.
In 3 years. Like, how much value is in Don's deal? How much value is in RJ's deal? You're going to look back at the 2022 summer, and you're going to say, boy, that's where the Knicks won this championship, or that's where the Jazz really got over and, built this team. This summer, this deal in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, and oddly, I also think this goes back to what Jeannie Buss talked about when she was talking about, hey, we want Russell Westbrook on the team, and we believe in Russell Westbrook. Like, it's an interesting thing to note. I mean, Jeannie Buss talking about how Russell Westbrook was the Lakers' best player last year.
Here's the only problem with her saying that. Even though that's probably true with injuries in the conversation and everything that happened last year, and even as bad as he is as a shooter, her saying that, she puts herself at risk of coming off as someone who's just trying to smooth things out in LA. Are you saying that because you believe it, or are you saying that because you need to smooth out this trio a little bit and get Russ, committed to the club all the way?
I think she's saying that because they're not willing to send him home. I think she's saying that because if they can't make a deal, they're not willing to eat $47 million for him to John Wall it. They're not going to do that.
Wow.
They're really not. This half hour of the show brought to you by Wayman Brothers Construction, the best contractor in Utah, in my opinion. Wayman Brothers Construction, 801-654-1028. 801-654-1028. Why do I think Wayman Brothers is the best contractor in Utah? They communicate, which I think is huge. They'll call you, they'll text you, they'll email you. Mm-hmm. How you want to communicate, Wayman Brothers will do that with you. Autumn, who works in the office at Wayman Brothers, is so easy to deal with. She coordinates everything for you. When you have a question about your project, Alma Wayman, who is obviously the namesake and the guy that runs Wayman Brothers Construction, Alma Wayman will call you. You'll talk through it. He's on your job site on a regular basis. It's a family business, so whether it's Teddy Wayman, whether it's their foreman Josh, like everybody that you deal with at Wayman Brothers Construction does one thing really well: instill confidence in the work they're doing, in the process they're using to get that job done, and then their finished product is just so far over the top. It's so good that you feel really good. You know that feeling you get when you're nervous about your contractor? It's one of the worst feelings in the world. You've paid this guy $5,000 and you're like, man, is he going to finish this on time? Mm-hmm. Hey, look at that. Doesn't look right. That's the worst feeling in the world. I've never had that feeling about Wayman Brothers Construction. And every project they do, I have enjoyed. They're doing a huge project for us right now, and it's just been a pleasure, man. The deck they did in the backyard where they built our pad for our hot tub and built a Trex deck for us. And I mean, it just was such an easy process. So if you have any work you need done at home, kitchens, bathrooms, maybe I know a lot of people are trying to add these ADUs, these dwellings, where you build a condo over your garage or you build another building on your property to drive revenue because rent is so high right now. Call Wayman Brothers Construction. There's no project too big or too small for the guys at Wayman Brothers. 801-654-1028. 801-654-1028. 7:28 Mountain Time, 9:28 Eastern. Breaking news in the world of sports this morning. The Big 12 has opened early negotiations with ESPN and Fox. According to ESPN College Football Insider Pete Thamel, the Big 12 has gotten permission from Fox and ESPN. They've agreed to open up negotiations on their TV deal early. It's 18 months early. Now, obviously, the situation in college football has dictated that those negotiations be opened up earlier. Here in Big 12 country, I said here in
right.
This is Big 12
right.
country.
This is Big 12 country now.
Anyway,
this is why
here in Big 12 country, I think this is a huge moment in time because you already know that BYU's in the conference. They're going in with the Houstons, the Cincinnatis, the Central Floridas.
Right.
What happens to Utah? Utah, I think, is a vastly underrated, vastly underappreciated program. You have a situation in Utah where you've got these two power programs. Utah is inarguably one of the best teams in the country here today. Mm-hmm. This game Saturday with Utah and Florida, obviously this is a huge moment in time for the Utah Utes. They're 7th in the country. They're going down to Gainesville. They're only favored by 3 points. Mm-hmm. If Utah can go to Gainesville and they can beat, and I think they will decisively win that game, and by decisively, I think they score a defensive touchdown. I think Cole Bishop and company are going to have a field day. I know that we're going to talk about Richardson later in the show, the quarterback at Florida. He is not an accurate passer. At least he was not last year. If they go down there, Utah, and they go to the Swamp and they make a statement, that's a big moment in time for Kyle Whittingham and the Utah Utes, because now you know the Big 12's open for business. As Brett Yormark said when he did his press conference at Big 12 Media Days, we're open for business. I think that's absolutely true. And the reason that this story is such a big story this morning is because what this allows the Big 12 to do is value the available properties in college football.
Yeah.
Specifically, I'm talking about San Diego State. What is that market really worth? Now that obviously USC and UCLA, they're going to the Big Ten, as Fox is well aware. What is that property worth? And I think the other question here has to be, what is ESPN's role in brokering a merger between the Big 12 and the Pac-12? I think those two questions, the value of San Diego State and what is ESPN's role, because Fox is not going to be tier one. I think there is no doubt with the Big 12 and the Pac-12, ESPN is the only provider who can logically end up as the tier one, which means the number one option for TV in the Big 12 and the Pac-12, I think there's no doubt, is ESPN. I don't view the Pac-12 as an option for ESPN. I think the only option, if ESPN is going to pay half a billion dollars a year, $500 million a year,
a little bit of money
for TV rights, at a minimum, is to have a merger between the Pac-12 and the Big 12. I think that's the only way to go here, Jake.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and I think that, for me, it's just fascinating to see how all this plays out because, again, we go all the way back to Pac-12 Media Day, and we remember George Kliavkoff's arrogance about where the Pac-12 is at, in the fact that they're, super valuable, and they're, to go as far as to say that you're one of the best conferences in the land, and just lunacy, in my opinion. To now you're at a point where we're not hearing from you. Convenient how that works. When things start to go sideways, we don't hear from the commissioner of the Pac-12. So we're not hearing from you. The Pac-12 is continuing to go downhill, and you have the Big 10 and the Big 12 basically valuing your different commodities in the conference. I mean, again, while this Big 12 stuff is breaking news, let's not forget about what the Big 10 has done here and are doing. I mean,
yes.
the conversation started with, hey, the Big 10 and Notre Dame are kind of dance partners here. You go back, 6-8 weeks. We had the whole Notre Dame Big Ten. They're going to be dance partners. Let's figure this out. Whether you're in conference or you're not in conference, but you have a partnership type deal. That morphed into, hey, the Big Ten is now all about adding Oregon and Washington and Stanford and these different schools so that they can have Big Ten after dark with SC and UCLA in addition to the new schools they would add in Oregon and obviously Stanford and Washington. So
yeah, and Pete Thamel, ESPN College Football Insider, has an update here. The Big 12 now, in fact, has confirmed. Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, said, quote, "We welcome the opportunity to engage with our partners to determine if an early extension is the best interest of all parties."
Oh, that's heat, bro.
I mean, that's the commissioner of the Big 12 right here on the screen. You see Pete Thamel, ESPN College Football Insider, confirming with the Big 12 commissioner, Yormark, that, quote, "We welcome the opportunity to engage with our partners to determine, if an early extension is in the best interest of all parties." This on the heels of Thamel's breaking news this morning that the Big 12 and its TV partners, Fox and ESPN, have agreed to enter early contract discussions about the league's next TV deal. The conversations will begin soon and come a year and a half before the contract's exclusive negotiating window expires. This is a big story now. The Big 12 has now confirmed that they are going to begin early TV negotiations with ESPN and Fox.
Yeah.
You knew that the Big 12 was plotting. You knew that because it's been very quiet. We've heard all of the rumblings. We've heard all of the noise from the Pac-12 about, hey, can we find a way to keep UCLA in the conference? Like, you've heard all of these rumblings about, hey, Oregon and Phil Knight and his henchmen are in Chicago meeting with the Big Ten and their directors to see if there's a relationship that can be built. You've heard all of these rumblings. And the Big 12 has just kind of been chilling, bro. Mm-hmm. The Big 12 has just been watching. They have been, again, Commissioner Yormark has been traveling around the conference, meeting with the different school presidents, I think really herding the sheep,
yes,
trying to get everybody in one group, moving in the right direction.
Doing his job.
Very quietly. Notice that since Big 12 Media Day, there's really been no big splashes. There's been no big headlines. There's been no, hey, this team and that team, this school and that school. You haven't heard any of that. It's been very calm seas. And now today the bomb drops.
What do we hear out of Pac-12, though? Oh, well, you heard the Arizona AD talking about how they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, right?
Yeah, I think that's let's play that again. This is Dave Hickey, and I think that's an excellent point. This is Dave Hickey, the athletic director at Arizona, the University of Arizona, Tucson, talking to K-Gun TV. K-Gun! On
wow.
K-Gun TV.
Wow.
Probably a little over the top. Listen to what he says the Pac-12 represents in the history of college football.
But I'm very proud of the position that the University of Arizona is in. We are strong, we're solid. This institution will be in the right place. I'm also very confident in the Pac-12 with its current membership of 10 now. But again, we still have 2 years before those two other institutions leave. But we've got to be planning and orchestrating and be ready to pivot and do the right things. But I'm very confident in how the Pac-12 looks and how this conference looks going forward. We're an anchor in the West. We're one of the greatest conferences that there's ever been. We have so much tradition and history here connected to the Rose Bowl. There's a lot of value in that, and we're proud as Arizona to be part of that.
What?
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
Right? I mean, are you kidding me?
Get the hell out of here with that.
I am amazed by it. The ignorance, the arrogance that Dave Hickey, the athletic director at Arizona, displays there. And I know a lot of people, when we rolled this out last week when this interview first came out, said, oh, well, what else would you have him say? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, not sure why we're doing interviews right now.
Nothing. Exactly right.
Not really sure why we're doing media availability. Not really sure why we're talking to the media. Not really sure why you're doing an interview sitting in front of a football field when off in the horizon you can see all the other schools burning to the ground in your conference. Like, there's no reason to have done this. And so then the reason this got brought up again is because of this Big 12 breaking news about an early, negotiation for TV rights and valuing San Diego State and essentially valuing the different commodities in the Pac-12 that the Big 12 could add. And it's so funny how all this works out because in I don't know if you want to put up that most recent tweet, but basically this tweet comes out saying, hey, yeah, we need to figure out if this new extension, an early extension, is in the best interest of everybody. That's college football and ease for it is in the best interest of everybody, and how much are we all going to pay? That's what that means.
The best interest is, can we get top dollar right now if we negotiate this deal, and is it a survival mode?
Yeah.
And I think it is. I think when you look at this tweet from ESPN college football insider Pete Thamel, you see all of this. And you look at the wording, and I agree with you, a hundo P here. Look at the wording.
Yes.
To determine if an early extension is in the best interest of all parties. Well, of course it is. Is that really? And ask yourself this. Read the wording there and ask yourself, is that really a question?
What constitutes a promise?
Right? Like, I don't know what you're really looking at there.
And that's why I say, like, and I know it's like tongue-in-cheek and I'm half joking, but seriously, that language and that verbiage, when I hear that, all that really says to me is like, it's like the same thing as the Big Ten saying, yeah, we're going to look at expanding and we're gonna evaluate the college football landscape.
We're going to see if it makes sense for everybody involved.
Let's cut the crap and get to it.
Get outta here.
You're going to add Oregon. You're going to add Washington.
Yeah.
You're going to add Utah. You're going to add San Diego State. And it's just going to be a matter of how much you're going to pay to do that, and then how much your TV partners are going to pay to air those games.
And listen, I think, we are on the eve of kickoff in college football. By the way, 20 minutes from now, BYU offensive lineman Harrison LaChance makes his first appearance on the show, thanks to our friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. Harris joins us every Wednesday at 8 a.m. And I wonder if I'll ask Harris this. I mean, if you're a college football player, do you give a rat's ass about any of this? Does it matter to you?
It depends who you are. It depends who you are. If you're a senior at BYU right now, you don't give a rat's ass because you're not going to be there.
You're never going to play a game in the Big 12. Does this matter to you?
If you're a freshman, yeah, it does matter to you. If I'm a freshman at Utah, if I'm a freshman at BYU, I care about it in different ways. Obviously, BYU to the Big 12 is done and has been done. So you're not in a place where you're having to wonder or be concerned.
Yeah.
But with the advent of NIL and the transfer portal, if you're at a Pac-12 school right now, are you not already looking for NIL opportunities and the transfer portal opportunities at other schools? Yes, you are. Yes, you absolutely are.
Yeah.
Depending on what school you're at right now.
Well, and again, I just want to, before we get your comments, because Jimmy Touchdown's giving us $4 to slander the Big 12. So we definitely want to play those or show those comments.
Right. Hey, man.
But I want to post these tweets from Pete Thamel because I think they're really important. The first tweet this morning came now, Jake? 45 minutes ago, I guess.
Something like that, yeah.
Where Pete Thamel, ESPN College Football Insider, said sources, the Big 12 and its TV partners, Fox and ESPN.
Sources.
Have agreed to enter early contract discussions about the league's next television deal. The conversations will begin soon and come a year and a half before the contract's exclusive negotiating window.
Hey, guys.
Okay. But then Pete Thamel went a step further when he was able to confirm through Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, quote, "We have welcomed the opportunity to engage with our partners to determine if an early extension is in the best interest of all parties," which is Latin for how much are you going to pay us if we do this right now?
With all due respect.
Right? Like, I mean, that to me is what they're saying. All right, now let's slander the Big 12.
Yeah, Here we go.
Jimmy Touchdown has paid us $4 to say the Big 12 is a JUCO league full of AG schools. Well, see, how you do this, guys, is you till the ground, then you put the manure in the trench.
Yeah, out there in Stillwater, there's not much to do.
And then you go over to the horse and you just kind of easily pat him on the ass, and they'll drop another pile for you. and then you just scoop that right into the trench.
Oh my God.
That's right. That's what we do here.
That's why the grass
pastures.
is so green, because they're fertilizing well.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay.
You
Oh,
know.
no, Jimmy's not done.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, no. Au contraire, friends. Jimmy touchdown. The Big 12 JUCO AG schools sign a TV deal with RFD TV. All right, welcome back to manure scooping here on RFD TV.
Oh.
You know, like if you notice this 10-gallon hat that I have on, I want you to know I do store tobacco up there. You know, I use those Skull Bandits so that I can salivate while scooping horse manure.
Hey guys.
On RFD TV. Hook 'em horns. Right? Like that's the picture that Jimmy Touchdown's painting.
Oh, man, dude.
Jimmy, I have no idea what your fandom is. I have no idea. You're definitely
Clearly,
not.
it's not Big 12.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone here and say that Jimmy Manure Scooper is not a fan of the Big 12.
Some shit happened.
Nor is he a fan of JUCOs. Just saying.
Yeah.
I have to believe that Jimmy Touchdown is a Pac-12 fan who's looking down the bridge of his nose at all of you non-research institutions.
I'm a man.
Here on the Pac-12 network that nobody watches. Like, that's what this feels like to me.
On Dish Network.
The slander is amazing. The slander is amazing. I'm amazed by it. Harrison LaChance in 15 minutes talking BYU football. Let's get back to some of your comments on the Knicks because the Knicks and Jazz, excuse me. If you haven't been following the storylines around the Knicks, yesterday it was announced on a Woj bomb that the Knicks and RJ Barrett are finalizing a $120 million extension for major bag alert for RJ Barrett's rookie deal. And I guess the question that comes out is, are the Knicks still the best Donovan Mitchell trade partner for the Jazz?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any question about that. Honest to goodness, I don't think there's any question. The New York Knicks remain at the top of the stack when you're trying to make a Donovan Mitchell trade. But I also think this story that came out yesterday that the Washington Wizards are telling people that they feel like they have made an offer that Danny Ainge has to take seriously. Well, he may have to take it seriously, but you can't tell me, looking at their future draft picks, looking at their current cap, looking at the talent, and specifically the young talent on this Wizards roster, I just don't see, Jake, that they can get into the same ballpark as the Jazz.
Yeah, I think that the Wizards are, that team that's just kind of come out and said, hey, we like our offer, we feel like it's a serious offer, but not to be a complete a-hole about it, it's not really up to them whether their offer is strong or not. It comes down to, once again, Danny wants 4 unprotected first-round picks. So, okay, cool. They've got that covered. Hey, we've got 2 unprotected picks to offer. The Lakers will give them another 2. That covers the 4.
Right.
Okay, great.
Right.
The picks are taken care of. We're good on that front. But then I jump to the player portion. This is where the Wizards are going to struggle because, and you can go and look at it. We don't need to spend a bunch of time getting into the actual, the absolute specifics of it. But essentially, you've got a bunch of guys in Washington who are getting paid a good bit of money. And so you're having to do an awkward trade to get this done, to get Donovan Mitchell. And by the way, I don't think Danny Ainge is particularly interested in a Kyle Kuzma reunion tour in the state of Utah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know what I mean?
I would agree with that.
I just don't think Kyle Kuzma really moves the needle. Hachimura, okay, I could kind of see it, but you kind of see what I mean. It's just kind of a vanilla offer.
I think Kyle Kuzma, with all due respect,
right? With all due respect,
I think Kyle Kuzma has disappointed the Lakers and the. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'll get the camera. Right.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
I will. Say that I think that Kyle Kuzma has disappointed the Lakers and the Wizards. I mean,
well, I think it's been better with the Wizards. I think that Kyle Kuzma wanted to be, hey, I'm the best player on the floor guy. He's never going to be that. But the guy can put the ball in the hole. And I think that he's proven that he can do that with the Wizards. That said, he's not somebody that you're going to sign and be like, yeah, this guy's going to help us make the postseason. This guy is going to make a huge difference for us. He's good for 20 a night. And that's valuable in the league. But for this trade, I don't think it has that much value.
I think 20 a night would be lofty for him. I mean, I want to say he's a 15-point average guy. I mean, Kyle Kuzma's a streaky player. You're not going to pay that guy. You're just not going to pay that guy that kind of money.
Yeah.
You're not. I see some $1.99 from Zayman says Jimmy Touchdown, a.k.a. Dave Hickey. Yes, Jimmy, don't be upset. Don't be upset. Jimmy gave us $2 more.
Oh, Jimmy, what are we up to? 8? Appreciate you, bro.
Paying my mortgage.
Seriously,
He says,
appreciate you.
JUCO directional school USC belongs in the Big 12. I love that.
JUCO directional.
Damn, Jimmy, you were on fire today.
That's funny. I don't care what anyone says.
referred to as a directional.
That's funny. That is funny.
I love that, dude. I love that. All right. MI Jazz fan says there are some decent Knick fans, good dudes. Just notice that they aren't the ones consistently saying idiotic things. Oh, boy.
Here we go. Who said that?
Oh, boy. Jimmy, NY Jazz fan.
Yeah. NY Jazz fan, you just had to go and make it personal with Knicks fans, didn't you? You just had to push the needle just a little bit further, didn't you?
Cody Strickland paid us $2 to say, look at my last comment. Let's see. Where's his? We get a lot of comments, dude. Where's his last comment? There it is right there. Why would the Jazz take a Lakers D-Knox 3-way?
D-Knox?
Do you mean Knicks? They want 4 unprotected first just for Don. Why throw Bogey and Mike in it when they can get another or a few more picks just for those guys together? Because I think there's a couple of things here. You want 4 unprotected first-round picks. Absolutely. But you also would take, Kevin's third-round pick that's protected, top 6 for 7 years.
From USC directional.
Yeah. That only works if Danny Ainge scoops manure in a field for USC directional college of television watching.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't mind, and you're not going to turn down if you get 4 unprotected ones. You're going to get some highly protected ones. You're going to get some pick swaps. You're going to get, because there's more value. Bojan Bogdanovic is a guy Bojan Bagsnatchevich is a guy that brings you. That one gets me every time.
Bojan Bogdanovic
is the Bojan Bogdanovic is a guy that's in demand. Is he going to bring you a first-round pick? It's not likely. I got to be honest.
Well, again, while I agree, Royce O'Neal should not have brought you a first-round pick, and what did you get for him?
Yeah, I would agree. Ruggs89 says Grimes would be the best player in Utah. Bro, it's awfully early to be doing.
You can't.
You got to put the drugs down.
Yeah.
You got to put the drugs down.
Come on, now, chill out.
We know, respect and protect the value of our young core, in particular the ones Leon drafted himself, Obi, IQ, Grimes, and McBride and Sims. Even Cam is protected.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I think it depends.
There's not a guy in that group that projects to be the player that Donovan Mitchell is.
What's protected is winning a championship. That's what you're trying to do. That's all you care about,
Yeah. Let's see. J Deals Direct says Kyle Kuzma is better than THT by miles. Well, he has been, certainly.
I don't know about by miles. I think that the opportunity has also been much more for Kyle.
And I think we're going to find out what THT is.
I think it's a bit early to be saying that Kyle Kuzma... THT was better than Kyle Kuzma was on the Lakers. I just think that's not even in question. And THT is doing it on 10 minutes a night. And I think that Kyle Kuzma is getting 35 minutes a night and scoring 15 points.
Kyle Kuzma has been shown not to be a number 2.
Yeah.
He's a third guy, right? Now, is THT a number 2? He's not. But if he's on the Jazz when this season starts, THT, there's a chance that Talon Horton-Tucker could be your number 2 here. Now, all of this could change. I mean, obviously, with the Don trade, if that happens, if Don comes to camp, you never know how all of this stuff fits together. It's a big rubrics. I mean, you just don't know. Mm-hmm. But if we surmise that if training camp started today and Donovan Mitchell and THT and Stanley Johnson and Bojan, this team's going to score 110 points a night for the Jazz. But I highly doubt. I would put it my Don trade radar Doppler system.
It's the Donnie Doppler, please.
My Donnie Doppler says that 4 more guys are going out before training camp. Because I can't believe that they bring Bojan Bogdanovic back to camp. Like, him and Conley would be the shocking ones. Donovan coming back to camp with the Jazz would not be shocking in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion.
Bro, what time is it?
It is 7:53, which means, oh, yes. God, dang.
Hey, it's okay.
Jake.
It's our first day doing it again. It's okay.
It is.
It's okay.
Time for Football 50, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Make sure you use the promo code Monty25 at checkout. Monty25 at checkout. Get you 25% off your order of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's. Check them out online. Download the Papa Murphy's app. And the biggest story in football this morning, there is no doubt about this. It is that the Big 12 has agreed with its TV partners, ESPN and Fox, to open up negotiations early, fully 18 months early, on a new TV deal with ESPN and Fox. Now, they are negotiating, and what this does, and the biggest reason that the Big 12 wants to do this, is it allows the Big 12 to put a value on San Diego State. What's Utah's value? What's Arizona and Arizona State's value? Hey, are we in play in any way, shape, or form for the Bay Area schools in Cal and Stanford? It allows you to put a value on those teams based on, hey, here's the group of teams we have. We're bringing in BYU, Cincinnati, Central Florida. We already have Kansas, Oklahoma State. We already, this group of teams that we already have, the Baylors of the world, the TCUs. What is SMU's value? What is San Diego State's value? Does it make more sense for us to add the Arizona schools? Maybe we don't add Utah. Maybe we don't add Colorado. Maybe Boulder doesn't have value to us. These are the things that the Big 12 will now be able to gauge because they are opening up negotiations early with ESPN and Fox. And ESPN and Fox are going to say, hey, look, if you add these schools, hey, maybe Fox is willing to pay more for its tier 2 position because you're adding San Diego State. And maybe a San Diego State, Oklahoma State matchup. Maybe why don't you, maybe Fox goes to the Big 12 and says, you should look at the state schools. Look at Washington State. Look at Oregon State. Make sure you add San Diego State because that's going to give you the Pacific Northwest. That's going to give you Southern California. And, hey, add Utah. That's going to allow you to dominate the mountain region. Those are the conversations that are going to be had. My suspicion is that ESPN, and I've heard this more than once now, but ESPN is going to try and broker a merger between the Big 12 and the Pac-12 to form one larger conference, whether Oregon and Washington are in that or not. They're going to try and broker a merger that would allow ESPN to be tier 1 in that new conference, that would allow them to supply multiple big games in those late windows on both the ESPN app and ESPN TV. And Jake, in my opinion, I think that's the best solution for everybody.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think schools that need to be concerned about this, frankly, are Utah. I think that is the one nameplate school that I look at and I'm like, hey man, you need to be very careful in this situation, because if you do not somehow, and I think they'll get into the Big 12, let's be very clear, but if somehow it turns out that you're not able to get into the Big 12 for whatever reason, and again, I think they will, but if you're not able to, I don't know where you go, because I'm telling you right now, the Pac-12 is not going to exist inside of, 2 years probably. Obviously you've got this season, and then, probably next season you'll exist, but that third season, I don't know where the Pac-12 is going to be, or the Pac-10 at that point. So I just think that this whole conversation around the Big 12 opening its TV media rights 18 months early, this isn't a cup of coffee early. This is 18 months, man. Why are they doing that? Why would they do that? Well, because they need to value markets. They need to understand, hey, what do these different schools offer us?
Yep, I agree. All right, 8 o'clock on the Monty in the Morning program right here. Appreciate all of you guys being with us. The biggest stories in sports this morning, including in football, brought to you by Papa Murphy's. Obviously, is this Big 12 announcement that they are opening up their TV, negotiations early with Fox and ESPN. We'll keep updating you on that story. By the way, Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, has now confirmed this to Pete Thamel, the college football insider at ESPN, has confirmed through the Big 12 that they are opening up TV negotiations early. Boy, this is a big moment in time in college football. You know that number 7 Utah heads to Gainesville to take on Florida at the Swamp that Saturday. And of course, BYU heads to South Florida in the wet football, humidity, all of that. So no better time to roll out BYU offensive lineman Harris LaChance. Add him to the show every single week. Harris, how the heck are you, man?
Hey, what's going on?
So let me just ask you right out of the gate. Do you care what the Big 12, the Pac-12, and TV deals are all about? As a guy who's going into the Big 12 at BYU, do you even care about that kind of thing?
No, man. We're just soldiers out here, man. We don't care about it.
Did I lose you? There he is. Okay, now I can hear you. So I would imagine.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. So you guys just tune all that outside noise out. You just don't even care about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, like we're just soldiers, man. Like, we go out there and play the games. We care about stuff like it's not that important to us.
No, I got you. Harris LaChance joins us every Wednesday morning here on the Monty Show, brought to you by Papa Murphy's Pizza. So let's talk about you a little bit. Obviously, one of the big questions I have for you is, hey, dude, you had a baby. You're a dad now. So how has dad life changed Harris LaChance?
Honestly, it's been awesome, man. Just having a son is like just change your whole perspective, especially on football. It's more than just a game now. You know what I mean? It's a way that I can help my family and provide for them, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I wonder about that. Like, do you think more about the importance of football? Like, do you think about, because obviously last season you went through a significant amount of injury issues for the first time in your career since you were really a full-time player. Like, I mean, you stood on the sideline and you watched a lot of football instead of being out there. And now you have you have a baby. Like, I mean, how much does having a child, going through what you went through last year, how much does that change your perspective on football?
Oh, I appreciate that. That's a great question. No, I've definitely learned a lot this past couple, like this whole year. So I'm trying to find somewhere I can chill out.
Yeah, you're walking around. Look at the cool blue light. Look at you, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good background for you guys. Okay, here. Anyway. How's that little?
Oh, it's great. Hey, you get the Y in the background.
This is probably bad lighting, but anyway. No, you're right, man. I've learned so much over the past year. I've had to really mature, had to take a step back. Having an injury like that where you miss most of the season is really life-changing, especially for me where haven't really had something like that before. And then having my son, dude, it's crazy, man. And you got to mature and you got to kind of look deep within and realize what you really want to do. You know what I mean? And if this is really worth it and things like that. And it's like, let's go back and let's grind, man. Let's get into this. So that's how I feel this year.
But let's be honest, going to BYU is not your traditional college football path. Aren't you guys just a bunch of old white guys who went and served missions and you're married and you have kids? And so you have, like, I mean, the perception of what BYU is, I mean, I don't think people understand it. I don't believe anyways, and I would love to hear you talk about this. Like, serving a mission is not something that is an advantage as a college football player, right? I mean, talk about how all of the things that it takes at BYU, how does that impact you as a football player?
Oh, man. Well, you're right. To a huge extent, it's not a big advantage because, like, when I went on my mission, I came home and I was, like, literally, like, 230 pounds, like, soaking wet. So yeah, I had a lot to do, a lot to improve on. And I am older now, so that is kind of like, kind of a different thing for the NFL. Like, oh, well, I'm a little bit of an older guy because of that. And so that kind of sucks. But at the same time, it does help you mature. And they say, yeah, we are, a bunch of old guys, whatever. But I really feel like in that aspect, we are more mature. And so we understand, we have our competitive advantage. We don't go out and party all night long. And we don't, we aren't caught up in kind of, girls and younger stuff like that. And so I think that's an advantage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. It's got its pros and cons, everything, right? So
yeah, and I think that's how you have to look at it. I mean, I think we spend a lot of time in this world talking about things that negatively impact us. But I mean, you obviously are a guy who this last year has been very much a proving ground for you as a man. So when you talk a lot about the NFL and you look forward to that, I mean, what are your aspirations? I mean, if you're talking those three letters, National Football League, this is a critical year for you, then I would imagine.
Sure, yeah, it's a critical year for everybody, man. I mean, if you want to go to the NFL, every year's a critical year for you. You know what I mean? You got to play good. But I'm like, you know what? It is what it is, man. Let's go out and have some fun, ball out. That's what I was doing last year too. You know, that's what the thing you got to realize is you can't get caught up in all that stuff at the same time. You got to just love the game, man. You got to go out there and have fun and kick some butt, and that's all you got to. That's all you got to worry about.
Yeah, and let me ask you about life at BYU. Obviously, this week we had this situation with Duke Volleyball and all the noise around that. When you talk about blocking things out, do you guys talk about that situation? Was that something that, Coach Satake, is that something that you guys talked about at all in your locker room?
Tom kind of talked to us for a second about it. They kind of told us about how, they're working to kind of figure the whole situation out, and we understood that. Obviously, we're really focused on preparing for this game, and so that's our first priority. But stuff like that, it's a big media thing for us. So, we're more focused on our deal right here. But yeah,
I mean, I have to imagine when you hear stuff like that, and you know that you're going into a big game. Is it? We all hear about, well, I'm just going to shut that out. But come on, man, you have a phone, you have Twitter. I mean, is it really difficult to just tune all of that stuff out?
I don't think so, man. To be honest, I really don't, because like I said, I mean, we've been doing that, tuning out the bad noise, tune out the good noise, for forever, man. We're used to that. You know what I mean? Like I said, we focus on ourselves right now, bro. Like this is a tight knit group here, and we love each other, and we're here to play for each other and win some games, and that's that. That's it.
Well, and I think when you play at a program that's the stature of BYU, I don't have to tell you this. You went to Harriman. Like, I think you get this more than most people. I mean, you're in a big time program here. You guys are in a game now where there are real expectations for you. And when I look at your offensive line group, speaking of outside noise, I mean, you guys are one of the most highly rated offensive lines in the entire country. How good and how deep are the offensive linemen at BYU right now?
Well, we're freaking good, man. I mean, I'll tell you that every year, though. You know what I mean? Like I said, that's a big thing here. That's our culture here, is whether it's good, whether it's bad, don't listen to it.
Yeah. Don't listen to the good, because, I mean, the good's probably worse for you than the bad is, right?
It is, yeah, for sure.
But as a competitor, how much does it help you? How much does it move you emotionally and competitively when you know that there are guys behind you that can push you, that can, that really are talented enough to take your reps? How good is that for you?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I think it's great to know that we have some depth. It makes us a little bit more comfortable going into a game and whatever possible situation could arise. And also for the future generations, it's like, this is my last year. It's like, well, boys, you're in good hands. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And I also think when you look at the depth of talent on your roster, especially the offensive side, I mean, you lose one of the better running backs that you've seen at BYU in recent years, but then you bring in a guy like Chris Brooks. You've got Peeny back there. I mean, how strong do you guys feel like your running game is right now?
I think it should be awesome, man. I really do. These guys are awesome.
Yeah, and talk to me about Brooks. Talk to me about Chris, and talk to me about what that talent is. Obviously, he's a guy that's a transfer. He's incoming. What have you seen from him, and how good has he been for you guys?
Yeah, no, he's a big back. He's like 230 pounds, and he can run the football, man. So I've seen that. I mean, he looks great in practice, and I'm excited to see him run this Saturday.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people obviously talk about Jaron and talk about, how, he is a dynamic he's a dynamic guy, but I think one of the things that's really important is you guys have to have depth. You have to have the ability to play in all phases offensively. Do you guys feel like that you can do that? I mean, are you more comfortable as an offense one way or the other, throwing the ball or running the ball?
I feel like we're ready on all cylinders here, man. I do. I feel like it's going to be great. I'm excited.
Yeah, and by the way, what have you seen growth-wise, by the way, developmentally from Jaren? I mean, you talk about big years. I mean, Jaren Hall is a real critical piece of that offense. How has he changed year over year in your eyes?
Oh, I love Jaren. He's a great guy on and off the field. And I've seen him, I don't know, I've just seen him continue to work hard. He's always worked hard. You know, even with Zach, I mean, he's one of the older guys, and, you know, a lot of us have seen a lot of guys come and go and seen how other guys develop. And we've just been honestly on that consistent grind of just working hard, studying, getting that extra work in through the summer, you know, off season. So that's what I've seen, man. And it's like, it's starting to all pay off, and I think it should. So
a couple of more questions for Harrison LaChance before we cut you loose, because I know you guys have a lot to do here. Yeah. 2 days ahead of kickoff, there's been a lot made about this 2-day travel, that you guys get that extra day going out to Florida. How important is that? I mean, you've dealt with this in past seasons. How big is the extra day of travel?
I like it a lot. It gets us a little bit more acclimated, especially when we only do it when we go across the country. So I think it's kind of fun too. You know, you get out there and, like I said, you kind of get used to it. You know, we'll feel the humidity and everything, and we're excited for that. It's going to be awesome. So,
do we make too much out of humidity? I mean, I've heard about wet footballs. I've heard about you guys are going to die because you're going to sweat a lot. Like, do we make too much out of the impact of humidity?
I think so. I don't know. I served my mission in Tennessee too, so I love the humidity, man. I think it's great.
Yeah, you were in Nashville. That's right. I mean, I don't know, man. You guys are highly trained athletes, and I think, yes, it's humid, but it also gets humid in Utah. Breaking news, right? So not the way it does in Florida, obviously, but I think we make too much of that. And the last thing I'll ask you is, let's talk about the psychological part of this game. I think Kalani talked a lot about that you guys have psychological coaching, and you're playing a lot of you're paying a lot of attention to the brain part of this game. Mm-hmm. Has that changed? Is that something you guys have prioritized?
I think in all aspects, we've been trying to improve everywhere. I think all programs are trying to do that, and us as well. I've seen lots of awesome changes and kind of adjustments, tune-ups, to where, yeah, mentally, physically, emotionally, you know, we can be tuned up and feel good in all those areas, and that's so important for our playing ability, I'd say.
Does that impact you snap to snap on the field when you guys are marching down the field? Are you using those tools, especially on the mental side? Are you using those tools on the field during a game?
Oh yeah, I am. Everything's important, man. How you prepare, you know, how everything's going back at home, things like that. It helps you, man. And when you got something going, you know what I mean? It's a great momentum, and it feels good. It feels right. So.
Well, and I wonder, the things that I always think about is, you know, obviously second half, you know, you're in Florida. This is a big game for you guys. Does that technique and does that work you've put in, does that prevent you from getting outside of technique? Does that prevent you from that holding call or that extra yard downfield that throws a flag? Does that manifest itself, that preparation manifest itself in that way?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. But, you know, also you got to understand, well, you know, everybody's, you know, nobody's perfect. So, you know, sometimes you're going to have some things that won't go your way. But that's part of that mental side. You say, well, didn't go my way this time, but let's get it next time. You know what I mean? So you have that short memory. Yeah, exactly. And you have that confidence, and you have that, honestly, understanding too. If something went wrong, understand how to fix it, be mature about it, take accountability, and move on and keep going. You know what I mean? So 3
a.m, the baby's crying. Are you getting up, or is Mrs. LaChance getting up?
My wife, especially for fall camp, she is amazing. She's honestly the real MVP. So
isn't it crazy how much happy wife, happy life? Absolutely. We all get that. But isn't it crazy how important your wife is to your on-field production, your ability to perform? I mean, I have to imagine when you have a little one, she is a critical part of it.
Oh yeah, she is, man. Nothing better than family, and she is seriously my saving grace. So she's the best.
Hey, Harris, good to meet you, man. Good to see you on the show.
Yeah.
Good luck this weekend. Stay healthy, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday morning.
Appreciate it, brother.
You bet. There you go. Harris LaChance headed to South Florida as BYU takes on South Florida, and what an impressive guy.
Yeah. I mean, dude clearly has got it going, and I think this whole thing about having a kid and having to balance that side of your life with football and trying to get to the NFL and clearly has very real aspirations, and obviously the opportunity is very real for Harris to make it. And I think that in and of itself is a huge accomplishment in life. And I think a lot of times I feel like we kind of downplay getting to the league, like, oh yeah, well, you're playing at BYU, you'll get to the league. Like getting to the NFL is a huge step in someone's life. So I just think it was just cool to hear him talk about that.
Yeah, and I think there is that stigma around BYU. Oh, well, they're just those old guys who went out and did missions, and now they just have this advantage. He's an offensive lineman who came back at 230 pounds. You think that's an advantage? I agree the maturity factor. I agree the life skills, the ability to handle yourself mentally. Sure, I agree those are important. He came back at 230 pounds to be a tackle at BYU.
Bro.
I mean, I cannot tell you how much work. We joked yesterday about eating fettuccine. I cannot tell you, do you know how much food those guys have to eat?
Do you even live?
To stay on weight? And with this, with the sweat and the conditioning that they're doing, they've been weighing themselves on a daily basis to understand how their body is processing fluids and how much weight are you losing.
What do you bench?
You weighed 10 pounds before practice. You weigh 20 pounds after. You weigh 5 pounds after. Like, they're really putting a lot into the physical processes, the metabolism of these guys on game day and in practice. And I think it's remarkable. I know most people don't understand the physical toll football takes on your body, man.
I wonder if he likes the Cougar Tail Built Bar.
Oh, we should have asked him that.
Should have asked him about the Built Bar.
I love the Cougar Tail Built Bar.
You've had it.
I have. Now, in her defense, Mrs. Monty is not nearly as physically capable or good looking as myself.
All right, bro. Have a nice day. Didn't mean nothing by it.
I'm clearly the face of the program.
Right.
Mrs. Monty does not enjoy the Cougar Tail Built Bar.
Really?
She did not like it. And I'm not going to turn the camera, but you're happy to go ahead. Did you like the Cougar Tail Built Bar?
The puffs are just tough for me because it's like just eating a marshmallow. And so like I think after too many bites of the marshmallow, I just don't love it quite as much. I think I like more substance.
Yeah.
They taste good for sure. Taste good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them.
But
I love it. I like the texture, and I like the I don't know, what is it? The maple covering.
Yeah, the drizzle.
Yeah, the
covering, the drizzle.
The drizzle.
Yeah.
Okay. The other puffs, it's not drizzle. You're an idiot. Anyway, the point is
thank you.
The other puffs, like the orange one that I like so much, it's chocolate. And so if you eat one of those, like a puff Built Bar, a Built Bar puff in orange, if you eat one of those, you I don't want to say you feel like you taste it for like a good 40 minutes. When you eat the Cougar Tail bar, and it's got like the caramel, maple, whatever you want to call it, coating on it, it doesn't leave that residual. I love it. I don't like it. I love it. And by the way, the Cougar Tail bar, every one of those sold, a portion of it goes back to BYU football players. So if you want to support the program, you should do that. Anyway, were we impressed with Harris? I was actually really impressed by the guy.
Yes, absolutely.
By the way, how nice is the BYU football facility?
Oh, Jesus, dude. Think they spent some money on that thing?
Oh, my God.
Bro.
That place is gorgeous.
I think you should hang out in the blue room all the time.
Yeah,
it was a good looking room, I thought, with the sign behind him. But I felt bad. He's like meandering around the facility trying to find a good place to chill, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Good talking to him.
Yes, absolutely.
Good hearing him talk about the young one, his son, and how it's changed him and getting right. I think the humidity thing with that Harris talked about, I think it's absolutely overblown. There's no doubt it's absolutely overblown.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I think you condition for that. It has been an inordinarily hot summer here in Utah.
Yeah.
It's not been your usual 30
days over 100 degrees.
It's been hot. And I'm not saying that's going to prepare you, or compares to the humidity in Florida. I've spent a lot of time in Florida from spring training. There was a time in my life where I sold magazines door to door in Florida. Trust me when I say you step outside to tie your shoe and you sweat. But they're conditioned for that. And I think BYU has done a really good job of preparing their guys for that. So, hey, welcome Harrison LaChance to the show.
Yes. Full interview after the show will be uploaded if you missed it.
Getting to Papa Murphy's website or download the Papa Murphy's app.
Just do it.
Because Harrison LaChance is presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, Harris will join us. Use the promo code Monty25, Monty25, no spaces. When you're checking out, put the promo code Monty25, and it gives you 25% off of a $25 order at Papa Murphy's. Trust me when I say you're going to crush it. Because that saves you like $7 on your order.
Yeah.
So let's see. Mitchell Harding joins the show and says, "Hey guys, hope you're doing well." Mitchell, where have you been, my guy?
Where you been, dude?
He says, "Off-topic question, but what is your switcher setup on your camera desk?" We use this piece of. Let me see if I can get Mitchell's comment off of there. Let's go to the banner. This device right here is called an ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. ATEM Mini Extreme ISO is the switcher that we use. Breaking news this morning, as it is. It seems like every morning on the show we have breaking news.
There's always something happening.
The Big 12 is entering early TV negotiations with Fox and ESPN. This, according to ESPN, college football insider Pete Thamel, who say Big 12 and its TV partners, Fox and ESPN, have agreed to enter early contract discussions about the league's next television deal. The conversation will begin soon and come a year and a half before the contract's exclusive negotiating window. Pete then followed up that tweet with another tweet where Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark confirmed this news, saying, quote, "We welcome the opportunity to engage with our partners to determine if an early extension is the best interest of all parties." The Big 12 confirms that they are opening early TV negotiations with ESPN and Fox. Jake, what is your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that you have a lot of opportunities out there in the college football landscape to be added to the Big 12, and I think there's not a definition of what those are worth. So obviously the most notable example is San Diego State. Adding the new Snapdragon facility and in the stadium and, spending a lot of money to try to bolster your value, which I think was smart by San Diego State, if I'm being honest. But I think that the Big 12 understands that the Big 10 has made moves and is making moves, and that they will add Oregon and several of those other schools from the Pac-12 North, if you will. And I think that the Big 12 knows opportunity is knocking. And I think that that's why you're getting what is possibly the most shocking portion of this news, that they're opening the negotiating window or whatever. They're starting conversations 18 months before they needed to. And I think that really is a sign of where they're at mentally when they think about their situation, kind of understanding that, hey, the Big Ten's taking probably 30% of the Pac-12 into its conference. If you look at USC and UCLA have already gone, but then you look at that Oregon package, that's probably 5 to 7 teams that you're going to add from the Pac-12. So the Big 12 is saying, okay, great. We're not trying to compete with the Big 10. We're just simply saying we want to be the best of the rest. We want to add all the value we can, and we want to get some West Coast representation, which is exactly why they're interested in, the Arizona schools, San Diego State. You're interested in the likes of Cal, maybe. There are opportunities. So that's what I think of it. I think it's a smart play. I think you need to get an evaluation on San Diego State and some of these other opportunities. But I'll also say, if I'm Utah, this is a very crucial time. You need to be winning.
Yes.
You need to be a double-digit win team. And I think that you need to get solidified on where you're going to be in the next couple of seasons from a conference standpoint. Are you going to be in a position where you're in the Big 12? Are you going to be in a position where the Pac-12 is dissolving and you have to pull the ripcord and find a kind of a, quick exit somewhere. I don't even know what that would look like. That's what I think is concerning if you're Utah. Because if you're BYU, you're sitting pretty. And I think Utah getting to the Big 12 is a great move. Obviously, the Holy War, there's a lot of value there. But to me, I just think this is a smart move at the conference level.
Well, and I also think the other big story this morning is this Duke Volleyball BYU racial abuse thing, because I think it's turned into a thing. Yeah, and I thought it was interesting. Harrison LaChance said that Tom Homo addressed the football team about this situation and said that they were looking into it, which I also thought was an interesting nugget. But I also think this story that the Salt Lake Tribune put out yesterday, which was exceptionally well done. I really thought that was well done. I don't remember the writer's name. I apologize. But I thought it was exceptionally well done. And the big story in that story is there's no evidence this thing happened. There is no video evidence that there was racial abuse, and they have looked at all of the – do you have the writer's name?
Yeah, there's two writers, actually, Courtney Tanner and Kevin Reynolds.
Great job by Courtney Tanner and Kevin Reynolds at the Salt Lake Tribune. There is a ton of video evidence. There are coaches' tapes. There are facility tapes. There is no video evidence showing anyone. There's not a video showing anyone dropping racial slurs or attacking this woman verbally with racial slurs while she was serving for Duke Volleyball. Furthermore, the story that comes out now is the kid that was banned from BYU was certainly not the one that was racially abusing this Duke Volleyball player. Video, the police confirmed that video corroborates the kid's story that he was not racially abusing this woman. At no time when this Duke Volleyball player, and I'm intentionally not saying her name, by the way, but at no time when this Duke Volleyball player was back serving to the Rock, which is the BYU student section, at no time was this banned student who goes to UVU, at no time was that student seen on video, even in the area, let alone racially abusing this Duke Volleyball player.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of this story?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that she fabricated it or made it up. I've seen a lot of Twitter noise saying that, she Smolletted it, like I think that's all tongue-in-cheek. I think the reality of the situation
but that's an important comparison.
Yeah.
What that Smollett reference is to an actor in Chicago who claimed he was out walking the streets of Chicago and was beaten because he's black. And he called the police, filed a police report, went to trial, and was found guilty of making those false accusations. That's why I think his first name is Juicy Smollett. Jussie Smollett. I don't remember the guy's first name. He was an actor on Empire, the show Empire. And he completely, according to the court system now, he completely made it up.
Yeah, and so the point just is that comparison's being made, and I think that it's just a difficult situation because I think it's an incredibly strong accusation and dangerous accusation to say that a black athlete made up, that they were called the N-word. That is an incredibly heavy, dangerous, impactful accusation to say that she made that up. That said, there is no video evidence of anybody doing it. So that's kind of where the water gets murky for me. I don't know. Like, this is what we talk about in the NFL all the time. This is what we talk about in in the Trevor Bauer situation or in the Deshaun Watson situation or whatever. Anytime someone's in trouble or anytime there's an issue, a situation, a happening, you need video evidence. If you have video evidence and it supports what you're saying, then obviously the case is closed. But if you're saying one thing but no video evidence is present, like, that's a problem. And so I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to say or what to, what kind of opinion to have other than, hey, there's no video evidence. This is a problem. I mean, I hesitate to be like, yeah, she just made it up and she didn't hear anything and this is complete garbage.
Man, that is a
I just can't see it going there.
That's a very serious accusation.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at this thing, and you begin to understand how serious this is, you look at what they wrote in the Salt Lake Tribune, and I think this is an incredibly important piece of this pie. This second paragraph here, when you read it, various BYU athletic employees have been reviewing video from BYU TV and other cameras in the facility that volleyball team has access to for film review. This has been ongoing since right after the match on Friday night. BYU Associate Athletic Director John McBride said in a statement, quote, "The person who was banned was the person identified by Duke as using racial slurs. However, we have been unable to find any evidence of that person using slurs." I don't know. Then how do you ban this kid?
Yeah, so now, and I'm not saying the Trib is making this accusation, but when you start to kind of put these puzzle pieces together, if you will, like that statement right there brings up this concept of, okay, well, so is Duke covering for its athlete? Is is not that I think they are, but like it starts to beg that question. Like it's just crazy.
Here's the problem, and I know you touched on this. These are really serious accusations.
Yeah.
Number one serious accusation, BYU fans racially abused a black volleyball player from Duke. That's a really serious accusation.
That made national news.
I want you to understand this. This is very serious. There are a lot of people accusing this young woman of fabricating this story. That's a really serious accusation to be made against this woman, because we know the volatility in this country right now surrounding racial issues. To say that this young black woman made up a story that fans from BYU were racially abusing her is a very serious accusation. That is a life-altering, potentially life-ending accusation for this woman at Duke. For this kid who was banned to be labeled a racist, and he was the guy that was abusing this woman with racial slurs, is a very serious accusation. To be using the terminology Smolletted is a very serious accusation. We cannot just gloss over this. We cannot just let this fade away. This has to be figured out. Did this woman make that up? If she did, there needs to be serious repercussions for her. If there were fans in those stands racially abusing this woman, there needs to be serious repercussions for them. And by the way, I think one of the more important parts of this story that we have to talk about, BYU's honor code would require people in those seats to stand up and say, hey, this is wrong. It would require them to come forward and say, this is what I saw. This is the person who was doing X, Y, and Z. Not a single person in that section or any other section or any other part of this story has come forward as a witness to say, I saw this, I heard that, here's what happened. Nobody.
Let me pose this question, though, because I think a lot of people would have this question. What, like, in your opinion, how serious is the honor code? Because I feel like for years when when BYU football has been in conversation, the honor code has always been sort of this, I'm not going to say a laughing point, but like people have made fun of the honor code. They've said that it would be why you wouldn't go to BYU. So in situations like this, how serious is the honor code? I mean, is it something truly at BYU where people are like, yeah, the honor code says I have to do this, so I'm going to do it? That's what I'm really curious about in this situation. I don't mean to question, the honor code's integrity or what it means or what it tells its students to do. But what I'm just simply saying is, from the student body, those people that were there that night, did they feel compelled to come forward by the honor code, or is it a situation where the honor code lives, but the students don't really abide by it to that level? They're not impacted buy it on that deep of a level. That's what I'm really curious about. Because to your point, no one's come forward. But is that because nothing happened, or is that because they're just not compelled enough? That's what I think is fascinating.
Nobody has come forward, and they've reviewed, and I want to make sure people understand this. Campus police say it doesn't appear the man who was eventually banned for racially abusing this volleyball player, video evidence does not back up that story. That's the hard
problem.
Part. They've looked at a ton of tape on this, and they cannot find this kid even in that area when this volleyball player. And what they've done is they've tried to, patch this together in a timeline. This woman was serving, back there in volleyball, serving, and they have that tape, and the kid that they accused, that Duke pointed out and accused of racially abusing this woman, is not even in the frame.
Here's my other question. If we suppose that this never happened, that there was no racial abuse, that nobody was saying anything, what was the reason for the cops showing up on the Duke bench? Was it just that they asked them to? Did the cops not hear anything? That's the other thing I'm waiting for. Hey, you had police on the bench, so they must have heard something then.
Well,
you know what I mean?
This is why I ask, what happened to the coaches? What happened to security? What happened to her teammates? What happened to anybody?
The teammate portion's also, I think,
anybody
super important.
Where is any? Because and for those of you who don't know The Rock, which is the BYU student section, it's not mild-mannered people.
Yeah.
Watching volleyball.
On BYU radio.
They're loud. They're raucous. They're aggressive.
Yes.
They're one of the best student sections in the country, The Rock. You would have heard this. But again, I want to be careful here because accusing her of lying about this is a really serious thing.
Yes.
And, the other part of this is she's taking some heat because she's a woman. And you have to remember that. She's black, so she's a protected minority class. She's a woman, she's a protected minority class. Mm-hmm. She's an athlete, she's a teenager, she's a Dookie. There's a lot of people for all of those reasons who will attack this person.
Mm-hmm.
But she said she was racially abused. There needs to be a full investigation of that, which I guarantee you is ongoing now.
Well, and I think that's why we're here. I think that
yes.
that this review of the footage, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's hundreds of hours of footage. It's footage from a game night. You're probably 4 hours deep on footage, and you have points in that timeline
easily
where you're looking to try to figure out, hey, well, we've got this angle, we've got that angle, we've got this angle, and we're having trouble finding it.
But that's the problem. You have cameras that are fixed on different positions on the court so that you can see technique, you can coach and critique. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, in my opinion. And, okay, well, we got to pare that down to those cameras that are just able to give us a shot of that area from above, security footage, coaching tape. It takes forever, but they've spent a ton of time on this and haven't found one piece of video evidence.
And I think the time thing's important. Remember when this happened? This was Friday night. This past Friday night, these accusations came out. So you've had Saturday. I'm going to say they probably didn't do Sunday. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Hey, you didn't do anything on Sunday because it's BYU. Okay, great. So you've got Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, and now we're, a couple hours into Wednesday.
I'm going to guess that they have been tireless on this. I guarantee you they started watching tape Friday night.
Yeah.
Had to have. But take the accuser out of this. Take this young woman out of this.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel if you're this student that's been banned indefinitely from BYU athletics?
Well, I think you're pissed. I think you're really upset. I think you're
upset. You've had a scarlet letter hung on you as a racist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You were there to watch and this guy says, by the way, he was accused not only of racial slurs, but he was accused of attacking this woman and threatening her safety.
Mm-hmm.
He admitted he approached her. But he said he approached her because he thought she was his friend who played at BYU. And it's worth noting their uniforms are they're identical in color. The police noted that on the report.
Yes.
Because the Salt Lake Tribune did a fabulous job of getting that police report. He thought it was his friend, he said.
Yeah.
So if we're taking the accuser at face value, take the accused at face value. He said, hey, I thought this was my friend. That's why I walked up to her.
Yeah.
And then you add the part of this equation that this kid who's banned is not on tape anywhere.
We're missing the fact
while she's serving.
Dude, the fact is we're missing like definitive video evidence one way or another. Because I got news for you. Just saying you can't find anything isn't good enough. You need to see, okay, we found dude in the stands at the time when she is saying that she heard this.
Yeah.
And he's not saying anything. Or he is saying something. Or, whatever they end up finding. So to this point, to come out and say, because that's the other thing you need to consider here. For them to come out and say, hey, we haven't found anything, that's also a powerful statement because you're putting out the messaging that, hey, you did make this accusation, but we haven't been able to back it up through the video evidence. So that's what I'm saying. There is a lot at play here, and this is going to continue to go on. And I don't think that that we can make judgment one way or the other. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that dude is innocent from racially abusing someone, but I'm also not going to say that it's fact that he did because once again, we don't have it yet. So I just think it's a really it's a sensitive situation. B, it's more volatile, frankly, because it's a religious institution, in my opinion. If this had happened at Utah, let's say, just as an example, it wouldn't be as volatile because you don't have that religious piece talking about the faith and the honor code and.
But let's be honest.
You know what I mean?
The state of Utah has a reputation as a racist state. The
It has a stigma.
The first conversation that happened on my Twitter feed when I tweeted this the other day. Oh, well, it's named after Brigham Young. He was a racist and he had 56 wives. Well, that was 100-something years ago. And what the hell does that have to do with what happened in Provo on Friday night?
Yeah.
Nothing. And the problem is this plays to that stigma. It fuels the stereotypes. So it's very believable that a young black woman would come to Provo and somebody would call her the N-word.
Yeah, you can put a story together.
The only problem with that, Guy Holiday, who is, racially mixed, he's Polynesian and he's black, and he was a wide receiver coach at BYU, said he never had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear Harrison LaChance, the offensive lineman who came on the show this morning, thanks to our friends at Papa Murphy's, said that Tom Homo, the athletic director, talked to the team about this. BYU's taking this very seriously.
Clearly.
As they should be. The police are involved. The campus police are involved. Tom Homo's involved. The entire athletic administration's involved.
Mm-hmm.
And you found nothing? Nothing. Not even a little bit. Is this woman a liar? I have no idea. Did she think she heard something that she didn't hear? I don't know. But this kid who was accused, the police said, we found no evidence to support the accusations against him.
And I have a real problem thinking that this Duke volleyball player rolled up to the arena and was like, yeah, I'm gonna make this up and I'm gonna, I'm gonna fabricate a whole story to get on ESPN. I have trouble with that. I mean, with all due respect, I have trouble with that. So that's why I say I don't think you can pass judgment one way or the other. But I think from an institutional standpoint for BYU, the problem is it doesn't matter if it happened or it didn't happen. You're labeled as a racist institution now off of a one-off event that may or may not have happened. Yeah. That's the problem. And that's why you need definitive video evidence one way or the other.
Yep. Brandon Bond says BYU administration listened to concerns in real time, placed security in the area, and sent admin to the stands to try and identify someone, and no one could confirm. Why did Duke not make a bigger deal about this in the moment?
Another very relevant question.
I have a hard time believing, and again, this is my opinion, I have a hard time believing that nobody in that section would have said something. I have a hard time believing that people at BYU would tolerate a flaming racist or a group of racists attacking a guest in their building, as Tom Holmoe put it.
Yeah.
I have a problem believing that. Okay, maybe not everybody, but you're telling me one single person wouldn't have stood up and said, hey, this is not right? We got to do something about this. I would have stood up and said, hey, you know what I would have done? I'd have gone and found a security guard.
Yeah.
I would have gone and found somebody and said, hey, you need to know that this guy right here is doing that.
Well, and this plays into the whole texting thing at NFL games or at sporting events, really.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, and maybe BYU does it. I don't know. Someone can confirm or deny, but being able to text security the seat number and everything to come and get dude, you can't tell me something like that wouldn't have happened, whether it is what you said, hey, I'll go get somebody, or you text or whatever. That's why I say, like, we're missing information here. You don't bring police to your bench and not have heard something. But conversely, how is it that there's nothing on tape? That's my problem.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yep, this hour of the show is brought to you by our good friend Devry Davis at the Davis Lending Team with Academy Mortgage, 801-543-9666, 801-543-9666, NMLS number 278545. And, we talk a lot about mortgage, real estate. We talk a lot about the trends. And right now the trend is house prices are going down. If you're a savvy negotiator and you're a cash buyer, you can win these deals. And by the way, how do you become a cash buyer? Well, you don't have $500,000 in cash, do you? Well, Devry Davis at the Davis Lending Team can absolutely, positively make you a cash buyer.
Devry Davis with the Davis Lending Team, powered by Academy Mortgage. All right, first-time homebuyers, listen up. This one's for you. There's a huge misconception on how much it takes to buy a house. Is it 20%? Is it 10%? Is it 15%? The answer will surprise you. There's 4 mortgages in the United States. 2 of them require no down payment. 2 require very minimal down payment. Out of that down payment, there's lots of places to get it from. There's state funds, county funds, city funds, lots of ways to buy a house, no money down. When I was 18, I got out of high school. I actually bought a brand new house, no money down, never regretted it. If you have questions, give me a shout. Glad to walk you through it. Have a great one.
Devry Davis at the Davis Lending Team, Academy Mortgage. He's an easy guy to talk to. Was chatting with him yesterday about this. Like, it's good that people are calling Devry and asking him questions. Doing deals with Devry Davis is one of the best things that you will ever do. It's one of the best financial decisions you can ever make. So call him today, 801-543-9666 for Devry Davis. Yes, you can buy a house without putting any money down. Devry Davis can help you do that. If you've been thinking about it, call him today, 801.
Do it.
543-9666. And again, I know a lot of people have been asking us about, all the sponsors on our show. And guys, that's the way the business works. We need you to support our sponsors. Guys like Devry Davis, who are small local businesses, because that's what Devry is. Yes, sure, he flies under the Academy Mortgage banner, but Devry Davis is an individual business owner. Those are the guys you want to do business with. And whether it's Devry, whether it's, Alma at Wayman Brothers Construction, the local Papa Murphy's Pizzas owners, those are the guys you want to support, because those are the ones pumping money back into your local community.
Barbecue Pit Stop.
Barbecue Pit Stop's a great example of that. Support your local businesses by calling Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage, 801-543-9666. Devry Davis and Academy Mortgage are equal housing lenders. Football 50 in 5 minutes, as we'll get you breaking news out of the Big 12. But I want to get some of your thoughts in here, because I see a lot of people commenting on the Duke situation. Mark Rasmussen says, people follow Brigham Young, dude. He was a white supremacist 200 years ago. Brigham Young, I believe, died in 1877. There's nobody, and this goes back to the thoughts about polygamy in our state. This goes back to, the thoughts about, racism in Utah. There's nobody that's like, well, Brigham Young had 56 wives. Let me go buy some wedding rings. Time to add to the stable. There's nobody doing that, right? Yeah. There's nobody that says, well, Brigham Young owned slaves, so, man, let me go out and, there's nobody doing that. And is the theology, are the teachings still implemented today? Not on a wide level, they're not. And this is why you have apostles and quorums at BYU. Now, I'm not LDS. I am not a member. I am not a BYU fan. But I'm telling you, you cannot condemn an institution based on what Brigham Young did 200 years ago.
And by the way, and again, I don't
Or
mean
150
this in a
years ago.
disrespectful way, but I think it's really important to say you can't be condemning institutions, whether it's BYU or otherwise, based on your perception and opinion of, people following Brigham Young. Like we all have our perception of things. We all have our opinion on things. But when we're talking about an institution who's been accused of a racial slur incident, I don't think it's doing it justice by just saying, well, people follow Brigham Young, dude. Well, dude, it's BYU. Dude, you need video evidence. Dude, you can't be making serious accusations of racial slurs to a black woman without video evidence. And the problem is there not only is there no video evidence, they have the video and nothing shows up yet.
Well, and I think the bigger issue is that not only did this woman make accusations that she was racially abused, she also made accusations of violence, saying that her life was threatened, that she was told to watch her back walking to the bus. Like violence and racial threats,
which is also in question.
These are serious accusations, man.
Yeah.
And they play into right now in our country with such a divide over race and theories and politics, and we've gotten away from the idea that we're all equal people, that we're not black or white or Latino or Asian, that we're Americans. We've gotten away from that. And the problem is, if you cannot prove that this happened, it doesn't mean she's lying, right? Like T-Money says, since it wasn't caught on camera, she's lying. The issue is she's making very serious accusations. And the way she described them, they almost certainly would have been caught on tape. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, well, and I think that the thing is, again, let's not do that. Like, let's not try to twist words or try to make these, like ridiculous comparisons to a guy who died in 1877. I can understand this logic of, hey, it's Brigham Young, like maybe there's some cultural stuff there with some sect of the state of Utah. Okay, I can kind of get with you on that, but let's not sit here and say because we're talking about the fact that they have hours of footage and they haven't been able to find anything that we're saying she's lying. What I'm saying is whether she's lying or not, it doesn't really matter. What matters is it on tape or is it not on tape? And if it's not on tape, it leaves the whole situation in a very murky place.
But you've wrecked a guy's life.
In another fair point.
You've hung a scarlet letter on a guy and called him a racist and said that he attacked you and threatened your life or threatened your safety. Let's even just say he said, watch your back on the way back to the bus. He threatened your safety after racially abusing you. That guy's life will never be the same because now we know who he is. Now we know where he goes, what school he attends, and what his name is. And now he's a racist.
And what's everyone going to ask him about when he goes to class? Hey, did you really do it?
I'm telling you, these are in times like these. It's 2022. We have never been more divided as a country. These are serious allegations that deserve serious investigation.
Facts.
This kid who got accused deserves better than this, because if the cops truly clear him and they say based on evidence that they have talking to people, interviewing fans, interviewing admin, interviewing XYZ, looking at tape. He's not even in that student section when she was being racially abused, allegedly. And now I think you have to say allegedly.
You do.
Racially abused.
Yeah, you do.
He's not even in the tape. He's not even on the tape. They looked at all the students. He's not there.
He allegedly said what he said.
He's not there. So
I want to be really clear. We're not saying that the guy's innocent or didn't do it, right? But what we're saying is we're having an honest discussion, and we're saying, hey, this is what the evidence to this point right here today at whatever time it is, 8:51 on Wednesday morning says. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm also not saying that dude didn't racially abuse her. There's a chance that he did, absolutely. But again, I just think we get into a really difficult situation. Like with I'll keep going back to the Trevor Bauer thing. There was no video evidence that Trevor Bauer ever beat the living hell out of that woman. And the problem is there was text message conversation that didn't look good for her. In this situation, what do you have? What substance do you have to go left or to go right? You don't. We as media, the public, BYU, you don't have anything to stand on.
And the other thing that I think is really important to say here before we get to football at 50, we have to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm a guy that I just don't believe your race defines you. I don't believe that because you're black or white or Asian, Latino, whatever you want to identify as, that's your right. Your actions and your words define you. And when we are so divided as a country, and I don't even think I'm being dramatic, we are a powder keg right now. And I'm a guy that believes the fuse has already been lit.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to talk to each other. And we have to be able to say, hey, look, whether this is an investigation into racial abuse or petty theft, I don't care. We need to know what happened. And if we can't talk through this stuff, and if we can't be men and women and Americans and say, hey, well, what did you see? What did I see? How do you feel about it? Well, I see it differently. If we can't exchange ideas without being called racists and liars and bigots,
we're in trouble.
We lost ourselves, man. And that's the problem right now. I think we've lost ourselves. So this is a huge discussion that I think we need to continue to track and we need to continue to follow, because people's lives are being changed forever and their legacies and reputations are being destroyed based on this exact situation. And now it's time for Football at 50 on the Monty Show. Presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. So thrilled to welcome Papa Murphy's to the show. It really is a brand that we truly use on a weekly basis. Mrs. Monty Jake and I really look forward to weekends, Saturdays, Fridays. A lot of times we'll do it on Friday night. It's been a long week and you've worked hard. You pop that Papa Murphy's Pizza on the Traeger smoker. 25 minutes later, you have got absolute awesomeness in your mouth. That felt a little awkward.
Oh, did it?
So
did
what I had meant to say is you have amazing pizza in 25 minutes off the Traeger smoker, out of your pizza oven, out of your regular oven, your convection oven. There's all kinds of ways to bake that pizza. But all you do is get online at papamurphys.com, get on their app, download their app. It's super easy. You put it on your phone. It'll remember your orders. You can just click reorder. And then use the promo code Monty25, MONTY 25, no spaces. It gets you 25% off your purchase of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's. The biggest story in college football this morning, without question, is Pete Thamel dropping bombs. It's a Thamel bomb.
Yeah.
The Big 12 has opened TV negotiations early with its two partners, Fox and ESPN. Having agreed to enter early contract discussions about the league's next TV deal. The conversations will begin soon and come 18 months ahead of their original schedule. This is not rumors. Now, Brett Yorkman, the commissioner of the Big 12, has confirmed to Pete Thamel at ESPN by saying, quote, "We welcome the opportunity to engage with our partners to determine if an early extension is the best interest of all parties." Jake, go.
Yeah, I think that this Big 12 situation is really smart from a conference perspective at the conference level. I think that the Big 12 has to value its opportunities. You have to understand, all right, hey, San Diego State is only valuable to us because they're in Southern California, not because San Diego State is some prolific program. And then while they are a good program in football and obviously in basketball, it's not like they're a P5, gotta have it, no doubt about it program. But the market is, or that's at least what we think. So the Big 12 is saying, hey, let's get this going sooner, because we understand in 18 months the Pac-12 might not even exist. We understand in 18 months we may not even exist if we're not careful. So let's get that revenue up. Let's get that revenue per school climbing the mountain, because we just saw the Big Ten sign a $7 billion deal that will go up to $10 billion after they add Oregon and the rest of that Pac-12 group that we've talked about ad nauseum on this show. So to me, this is really smart. To me, the Big 12 is making the correct move here. And one side note to this conversation, if you're Utah, A, there's more pressure now than there's ever been to win. B, I don't know that it's an absolute slam dunk to get into the Big 12. I think you need to see, what the valuation of San Diego State is and what the Big 12 prioritizes and what they want. I would think you get in, but I'm waiting for that news to come out that it's assured that you're getting in. Because if you're not, and the Pac-12 dissolves and you have nowhere to go, that's not a good place to be at all.
Hey, by the way, I think part of this story that we've talked about with, this situation at BYU and the volleyball player is BYU's not officially in the Big 12 yet. I mean, you don't start Big 12 membership until next year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another part of this, by the way. I that's why I think BYU has to be so aggressive with this. Breaking news out of the NBA, by the way. Yahoo sources through Chris Haynes say a felony charge against free agent center Montrezl Harrell of trafficking marijuana has been reduced to possession, which is a misdemeanor. Judge ruled this morning if he is in good legal standing for the next 12 months, the misdemeanor will be removed from his record. Ooh, that is a huge break for Montrezl Harrell. Football at 50 brought to you by Papa Murphy's. What about this Jimmy Garoppolo story? Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G.
And we ran out of time yesterday
Jimmy
trying to talk about this. But Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, Mr. Forever backup, never good enough as a starter.
Yeah, he sucks. Which is why he is still on the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo renegotiated his contract, got him under their salary cap at a comfortable number, gave him a no-trade clause, and now he will go to camp or go with the 49ers, as the backup to Trey Lance. I hate this for Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love it for Trey Lance. I think the team needs to come out and really definitively say, hey, Trey's the guy we're going with. The Jimmy thing is just because we had to figure it out. And I think Jimmy is going to see the field this year. I think that's kind of what we're waiting for. How long? What is the leash? What is the patience factor for Trey Lance struggling? Because I think we can all agree that Trey Lance is not going to come out and be some 5,000-yard passer that's lighting the league on fire. That said, I think he can be serviceable. I still think they can make the playoffs. But at the same time, I think that having Jimmy G sitting there, it's a interesting situation. I think the most surprising factor here with the renegotiation of Jimmy G's contract is he was willing to take so much less. That's why this became a possibility. So to me, Jimmy G is just simply saying, hey, I wanted to get paid this year. So to me, if you're Jimmy G, $6 million to hold a clipboard for most of the year is a nice little deal. And then next year you can figure it out. So I think it's actually a decent deal for Jimmy.
Yeah, and I think, there's no doubt about it when you look at Trey Lance, he needs to be the dude. He needs to be the guy. He needs to be the number one. And I think when you look at Trey, he's going to make or break this year. I think and I don't mean to speak for you. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I think this is make or break for Trey Lance. This is a year you succeed or this is a year you fail.
Well, this is the year where you're going to get thrown into the Tua pile or you're going to get thrown in the Patty Mahomes pile, right? That's because with Tua, everyone's like, well, he's not good enough and it's just a matter of time, right? Yeah. And I think, the Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert route is, hey, yep, prove it year. You got the job done. You went to the playoffs. You may have lost in the playoffs, but you're definitely our guy for the foreseeable future. And so that's what I think Trey Lance is dealing with, and I think it doesn't help that Jimmy G took him to a Super Bowl. That doesn't help Trey Lance at all.
Yep, Football 50 brought to you by Papa Murphy's Pizza, one of our newest sponsors on the show. Really need you guys to support our ventures with our sponsors, including Papa Murphy's. We love the fact that they gave us a promo code Monty25 to get you 25% off your purchases of $25 or more. And trust me when I say that's $7 off your pizza order. That's a good bit of cash back in your pocket at Papa Murphy's Pizza. The best take and bake, really plain and simple, the best pizza in the business is at Papa Murphy's. Jimmy Touchdown gives us $2 more.
Jimmy!
God bless you, Jimmy. And says, is Papa Murphy's related to Papa John?
No.
In no way, shape, or form.
But I think, I don't think that's a silly question. I think a lot of people wonder that. Papa Murphy's is its own separate thing. They are not related at all.
Yep. Let's see. Blood of DePanta says, I'm not going to lie. The way you all review racism doesn't make sense. I encourage everyone here to maybe do deeper reading and learn how racism actually works. Okay, Blood of DePanta.
How does it actually work?
Tell us how it works. I would honest to God. I would love to understand this.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because I think this is a really important conversation, because if you're telling me that, I don't understand how racism works, please do explain, enlighten me, because I want to know your thoughts. I value your opinion, and
Don't you illuminate me?
Yeah, honestly and truly, I want to hear from you. Let's see. Asgill says it's a fine line in the NFL. It's a fine line in the NFL because injuries are so prevalent that you need a good backup, but it makes it way too easy to bench Lance at any point. Can't make Lance feel like he could be benched. Yeah, I think that Trey Lance has zero reason to believe in himself right now, to be confident of his position even, because he's just not played well enough.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a guy who, in my opinion, just simply hasn't done what has needed to be done to solidify the level at which he was drafted, which is not his own fault. I look at Jordan Love in Green Bay very much in the same situation. I mean, it's not his fault he was drafted to be the next Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the reality of the National Football League.
Yep.
And when you draft Trevor Lawrence, or when you draft Zach Wilson, or any of these guys as high as they've drafted, a guy like Trey Lance, the expectations have to go up because they're paying you a very high level. Trey Lance has not played very much football in his life. If you go back, especially college and the NFL,
facts,
between injuries and just a lack of ops, I mean, this is a guy who's just not played a lot of football. So it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. All right. Obviously, the other story that everybody here is here to talk about this morning is this new report that the Washington Wizards want in on the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes. And the very latest on the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes, it's funny, I'm sitting here texting with a couple of NBA sources, are that this is still the Knicks deal to lose. I asked this morning of some sources that I speak to regularly, are the Wizards a serious contender? One of the other teams you hear a lot, the Atlanta Hawks, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Charlotte Hornets. This is the Knicks deal to lose. There's no question about that. The New York Knicks have the most to offer, and they have the most to offer a third team as well, which is why the Laker deal made so much sense. Danny Ainge has not, also I've confirmed, lowered his asking price at all. Danny Ainge wants 4 first-round picks and probably 3 young players. He knows he's going to have to take back a veteran contract. I think, based on what I've heard the last 24 to 36 hours, the Laker Jazz deal is still very much a possibility.
I want it.
I think Lakers, Jazz, and Knicks still makes a whole lot of sense, even with R.J. Barrett not available because of the poison pill provision on those rookie extensions. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Jazz. If you are going to trade Donovan Mitchell, you're going to go into a full rebuild. There's no doubt about that. You would want the $47 million in cap space that goes along with Russell Westbrook. Now, does Jeannie Buss, the owner of the LA Lakers, commenting that Russell Westbrook was their best player last year? Jeannie Buss said that. Does Jeannie Buss saying that Russell Westbrook was their best player last year impact these deals at all? I don't think it does. I think there's a lot of politicking and a lot of smoke screening that goes on when you're talking about trading players, the caliber of a Donovan Mitchell, the caliber of a Russell Westbrook. I think there's a lot of smoke screens that get put up here, Jake. But if you had to guess, what do you think happens with Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, I mean, I think my gut tells me that the guy winds up going to camp, and probably plays the first half. I think that the more I think about this, and again, this is just me kind of going off logic and instinct and my gut feeling on it. I feel like these two, Danny Ainge and Leon Rose, have just been going back and forth. And it has nothing to do with the Lakers or the Wizards or anything outside. The picks are taken care of, right? The Lakers are going to give the Jazz 2. The Knicks would give the Jazz 2 in this 3-team scenario. So Danny's got his picks. The question really comes down to Quentin Grimes and these young players. And I think that, Leon has not wanted to give up Quentin Grimes and has only wanted to provide a couple of certain guys, in the quickly top in, maybe a Fournier potentially, and we'll see what it is, but the Grimes portion has really been the sticking point. And so when I look at this, my gut instinct tells me, hey, they're at a gridlock right now. Because the problem is I just don't know, like, where else are you going to push or massage the trade value? If you really think about it, Danny doesn't want Julius Randle. Danny doesn't want R.J. Barrett. And obviously you just extended him, so that kind of changes things a bit. So I don't know, man. My instinct tells me that Donovan goes to camp as a Jazz man, and then, as the season goes on and things happen and changes are made, like, then I think before the deadline, potentially, a deal could be done, potentially. That's where I think we are, and I just feel that way because these two guys are in gridlock. There's nowhere else to go. It's Grimes or it's not happening.
Yeah, I agree with that, and again, I think that if somebody's going to compromise here, it's probably going to be Leon Rose with Grimes, and I think that there is a lot of reason to believe that Leon would compromise on that because, frankly, if you bring in Don and you only give up 2 unprotected first-round picks, I think you would be a lot more amenable, a lot more open to the idea of giving up more because there's just no reason not to.
Well, in this conversation of not doing the deal because you don't want to give up Grimes also is a bad look.
Oh, I would agree with that. I think it is. It just doesn't. It's never made a lot of sense, and I know we've talked about this a lot on the show, but it's never made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That you would simply not make a Donovan Mitchell trade because you wanted to keep Quentin Grimes. That's never fit. Now, is Quentin Grimes just too far over a line? Oh, I'm sure that could be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Emmanuel Quickly, the Walker Kesslers of the world. Hey, are the Knicks, or the Jazz willing to send Walker Kessler? Those are all conversations you can have. Maybe Leon's not willing to go over a line. And one of the conversations I had on Monday when this came out about R.J. Barrett was, well, what does this really mean? Because from the jump, my sources at the Jazz told me, well, this has nothing to do with whether we do a deal with the Knicks or not.
Yeah.
What this means is, okay, well, now what else is going to be in the trade? If R.J. Barrett's off the table altogether, what else is in this deal? And what that means is you have to consider, are the Knicks going to ask for a Jared Vanderbilt, a Walker Kessler, a Malik Beasley? Are the Lakers going to ask you for a Kessler or a Beasley to go along with a Bogdanovich instead of a Mike Conley? All these things you have to consider. And real quick, I want to show you this story from The Athletic. This is Jeannie Buss's comments about Patrick Beverley and, her thoughts on whether Pat and Russ can play together. And I think she brings up a very accurate comparison here in The Athletic. She said, I remember all that video circulated. The Lakers brought in Matt Barnes and his relationship with Kobe over the years. And now, they become teammates. We've seen these storylines before. And read right here what she says about Pat Bev. We've seen these storylines before. Pat Beverley was brought here to play defense, to be that guy that knows how to push his teammates, who sets an example with how he approaches his job. The day of the trade, he, Patrick Beverley, was already here after work hours working out. I got a chance to say hello to him as I was leaving for the day. He just brings that work ethic that we value, that Coach Ham values, so it has nothing to do with Russ. And then she went on to say, and I think this is really important as well, look at this from The Athletic. All I can say is that from my viewpoint, Westbrook was our best player last year. Showed up. He played pretty much every single night, showed up, worked hard. I would have loved to have seen what this team would have looked like if they had stayed healthy. Then listen to this. It's really tough to win when Anthony Davis isn't on the court. She has multiple times now called out Anthony Davis for a guy that's constantly hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I will not, the day that the Lakers trade Anthony Davis, I will not be surprised.
Yeah, I disagree with her on the Westbrook thing, though, with Patrick Beverley. The reason that the Kobe Matt Barnes thing is not a good comparison is because that was Kobe's team. You were either going to
alpha male.
It was Kobe's way or it was the highway. And that's not the case here in Los Angeles now. It is not Russell Westbrook's team. It's LeBron's team. And I think that Russell Westbrook is a guy who's been paid crazy money. He's at that point in his career where it's really not about the money. It's more about winning a championship. And I think that Russ cares deeply about doing that in his hometown. And so for me, I just don't like that Matt Barnes-Kobe comparison because it wasn't up to Matt Barnes. It was never going to be about him. It was always about Kobe and everybody else. Whereas in this situation, Jeannie has clearly come out and said, hey, Pat Bev was brought in for a very specific reason. And then she goes on to say, and this is why everyone's latched onto this, that Russell Westbrook was our best player. And while that might be true, the way that came off is, hey, well, I said something nice about Pat. I better make sure that I, give Russ some credit too. So we're already playing the Pat versus Russ game without even trying.
Yes.
And that's my problem.
I love that.
That's my issue.
Yeah.
So
you're
I don't
already
know.
by saying there's no drama, you're creating.
You're
drama.
already creating it.
Yeah.
In a time and place for the Lakers organization where the Clippers have been kicking the hell out of you for like the last 7 years. Like, you might want to get to a place, and I love that she's criticizing Anthony Davis, because I think the Lakers have to get back to a place where they have their one face of the franchise, and that face of the franchise can't be constantly hurt. With all due respect to Anthony Davis, everyone knows he can be an MVP, but you can't be an MVP if you're hurt. And so that's why I say, like, this is the year. Whether, like, for Anthony Davis, you're, again, talk about guys on the prove it list this year. AD is absolutely one of those guys.
Yep, I agree. Jimmy Touchdown pays us $2 more.
Jimmy, bro.
To say that sources equal reading ESPN's homepage.
Yeah, well, you can believe that, but the fact is we do have sources. We've been right, and the beautiful thing is we're not like the radio stations in this town. Go back and watch our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's all on tape. So
James Knight says, explain to me what the motive is for Donovan to be traded. Is it at Don's request or otherwise?
No.
I think the motive is that when you're Danny Ainge and you're trying to get your financial house in order, if you're going to offer me 4 first-round picks that are unprotected and 3 players the caliber of a Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, and Obi Toppin, I'm going to do that deal. Because Danny knows that, one, he's going to have to make trades because he's in Utah. It's much more challenging to get free agents. And 2, I think they're trying to get their financial house in order. So my feeling is that you're going to see if they get what they're asking for. If Danny gets 4 first-round picks, he's going to make that trade.
Yeah.
As he should. And as my Jazz sources tell me all the time, it'd be irresponsible of Danny Ainge not to pursue 4 unprotected first-round picks.
I'd like to just point out how many times Danny Ainge is going to bust the league up with a ridiculous trade return. Can I just keep pointing that out? Like, I don't know what Danny Ainge does or the magic of Danny Ainge or what that phone call looks like to Leon Rose or any of the guys Tim Connolly in Minnesota. Like, I don't know what he says to these guys, but his ability to get return is pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Wow, look at Tanner Plummer. Tanner Plummer says, not going to lie, this episode of The Monty Show has been pretty lame so far. Well, I mean, Tanner, what is it that we can do to please you, sir? I don't know. Greg Hawkins says, sup, y'all. What's up, Greg Hawkins? Good to see you, friend. I guess we're just not good enough anymore. Jake.
Yeah,
we should probably turn the reins over to somebody else.
Here's what I'm going to say. Don't just comment don't just say we don't know much about racism. Don't just say the episode's been lame.
Yeah,
I need whys. I need explanations on why you feel that way.
Where's Blood of DePantha? I see
that's what I'm looking for,
question? Blood of DePantha says, I wouldn't mind having a conversation with you all if you want. I have 2 degrees in history with a specialization in North American Black history. I don't often flex this online, but yeah, you're qualified.
Well,
There's
and that's
no doubt about that.
Here's the deal. You deserve credit for having those degrees and having those accolades. There's no doubt about that. I think you deserve a lot of credit for that. I think at the same time, you can tell us we don't know much about racism, but the fact is we covered the Colin Kaepernick situation. We've covered many situations that deal with race.
I think we've been pretty.
I think we've been fair. I think we've been honest.
We don't just comment off the cuff. Like we reach out to people. We
go
try
listen
to get frame of
like,
reference.
Like listen to the Guy Holiday interview. Listen to our first conversation on this topic. Literally. And I don't know if you're in Salt Lake or if you're somewhere else, but if you're in Salt Lake, then you know that nobody else in this town had that conversation, but we did. So I can get down with, hey, you saying that we don't know much about racism. That's fine, I guess. That's your opinion. I'm cool with it. But at the same time, I feel like we have good conversations. And as far as Tanner is concerned, I don't know what you want, bro. Like, I don't know what entertainment factor you're looking for, because we covered like everything that you would want to talk about as far as a sports fan's concerned.
Mark Rasmussen says, when it comes to politics, you guys are so hard to listen to. Well, Mark, you don't often agree with our political views.
Yeah.
So,
which is different.
It's not that it's hard to listen to. You just disagree.
Yeah.
And I'm here for that. I mean, I'm happy to have discussions about politics, but I'm not the guy that's going to get into 4 more years or stop the steal or any of the ridiculous, arguments and fights that people love to have. That's not what this show's about. This show is about a free exchange of ideas. I just, so when you say, hey, when Tanner says, this show's been disappointing today. Okay, well, what exactly has it been disappointing about? I don't know.
I would love to hear the whys.
I don't know why you can't exchange ideas, James Knight says, makes me chuckle when critical comments about the show while it's tuning into the show. Yeah, I mean, you're here and we appreciate that. Ken Williams says, the problem is race issues need to die in this country. The media needs to be careful about the issue. Well, I don't think that I actually am on the other side of that, Ken. I think issues of race need to be openly and honestly talked about, loudly, publicly, in mass.
Yeah.
We need to have those conversations. The problem is, in this country, we call that a riot. We call that a war. We don't call them conversations. We don't call them, relationships. And that's really the issue that when this stuff at BYU happens, that's really the issue is it doesn't matter, what you think happened. Mm-hmm. Because you don't think it happened. You just not you specifically, Ken, but 9 out of 10 people go to what they know happened.
Mm-hmm.
We're evidence-based. We look at the facts as they are presented by those on both sides of the discussion. So, like in the Provo situation, if you listen to the show on Monday, we absolutely, and I think I even said, you have to give this young woman the benefit of the doubt. You have to. Well, now the problem is that there's been a thorough vetting of the situation, and there's zero evidence, not even a little bit. Not one person, there's zero evidence to back up or corroborate the accusations that Duke has made here.
Yeah.
And what I'm not willing to do is hang a guy out to dry on false allegations.
And I think we can't be scared to say that. That's the part of the conversation that I think people get a little hesitant on, saying hey, this guy that she accused of doing this fan that they banned, is having his life wrecked because of these accusations. So if it comes out, let's say, what's today, Wednesday? Let's say it comes out Monday that this guy had nothing to do with it, and we already know that he wasn't in the stands when it happened. It's kind of going that way already on some level. So if it comes out Monday, let's say, that dude had nothing to do with it and he's completely innocent of any wrongdoing, are we then going to get comments that we know nothing about race? Or is the conversation going to be, hey, yeah, maybe we did jump the gun on that. And that's what I think we have to be careful of. That's why when we talk about these conversations, you have to remember, and I know I keep saying this because we have a lot of new people coming to the channel. We are not owned by anybody, and I hope everybody understands that. There are no political agendas here. There are no greater overreaching goals. We're just here to have the conversation, and like he just said, we're just looking at what we know so far. And that's that, hey, accusations were made that were very serious. The police and BYU are vetting those accusations, and through video evidence, they haven't been able to find anything yet. Maybe that changes. Maybe they do find something. Yeah. But right here today, they don't have anything. So what else are we supposed to say?
Well, and I look at Pudge NYC Good to see you, Pudge. He says, don't talk race or religion at all. I don't think you could do that.
But let me ask this question. And I'm not trying to dig into you here, Pudge, but I think it's a very pertinent question. What justice does that do to the situation? Would you rather listen to a show that just does generic content that steers away from anything that really matters in the world? Or would you rather listen to the show that has the conversation and really dives into it? That's my thing. We're not willing to just skip over things that are relevant to our listener. So we're not CNN. We're not Fox News. We're not a political show. We're a sports talk show. I got news for you, man. Again, all jokes aside, with all due respect, this is a sports issue. You were at a volleyball game, or proverbial you, right? This happened at a volleyball game, and accusations of racial slurs being said were made.
And accusations of violence.
This is a sports issue. It's not a politic issue.
And it's BYU.
Yeah.
And it's Utah. And, you know.
Come on.
Greg Hawkins gives us a $50 tip. Greg, what's up, man? Appreciate you. He says, I think you guys do a good job talking about race. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do.
I think a lot of us, my opinion is, and I'm not trying to paint a broad brush, but I do feel like in the comments right now, a lot of people are uncomfortable with racial topics. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's a comfortable conversation to have.
It's not fun.
But I think it's a necessary conversation to have. If this happened, speaking of Westbrook, right? This happened at a Jazz game several years ago when he was still with Oklahoma City. And everyone was happy to talk about it then. So why is it that we're uncomfortable having this conversation about a college institution?
All right, a couple more, and then we need to get on with getting on because we've got to talk about the expense of iPhones. Tanner Plummer says, well, Tanner, what can we do better? Here's a suggestion. Talk less about the Donovan Mitchell trade stuff. We're all burned out over it. That's why this episode has been lame so far.
Well, because you don't like talking about it doesn't mean that it's not relevant.
It is by far the biggest story in Utah sports.
By the way,
the reason we're talking about it today is there's all kinds of talk about him going to the Wizards.
What would you have us talk about? Let me get a list of what you'd have us talk about. Help me.
Well, and I'm guessing serious. Tanner wants to talk football. Well, we had Harrison LaChance on the show. We talked about the lines earlier in the show. Like I just, you know, I think that this Donovan Mitchell thing, I'm burned out talking about it as well. But it's a huge story.
But I'm being serious. I'm not even trying to be an asshole about this. What would you have us do? We're a local sports talk show in Salt Lake City.
Almighty Finesse says, I'm here only for Donovan Mitchell trade talk.
Like I just don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're all here to talk about. By the way, we've talked Lakers. We talk Nets almost on a daily basis. I mean, we talk, like, really, it's not just Donovan Mitchell. It is general NBA.
And tomorrow, the entire show tomorrow is football.
Like, tomorrow you're going to get locks on BYU and Utah. Like, tomorrow you're going to get some NFL talk. Like, there's a lot that happened and is going to happen. So I just don't understand, like, the frustration around us talking Donovan Mitchell when that's what everyone wants to talk about.
Yep. Greg said, I'm sure they'll preview the Utah-BYU games coming up this week. Yeah. And a reminder, Greg, very good point brought by you as usual. We're off on Friday. We're traveling to Hawaii Friday. And we will do shows over the next 2 weeks when we're in Hawaii. We will be doing shows from the islands. So, but, you know, like on Thursday on the show tomorrow, it's already Thursday. Guy, it's already Thursday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow on the show, there's a lot going on. We have a huge new sponsor coming on board. A very important partner of ours is coming on. So that's happening tomorrow. We will have full previews on both BYU and Utah. You already know we started football at 50 today thanks to our friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. Like, we have a ton of football on this show.
It's okay to say that you're burned out on the Donovan Mitchell topic, Tanner. But please don't come in here and say that, like, and I do take it personally on some level because we work our ass off to put on a good show every day. Don't come in here and say the show's been disappointing when it has not been disappointing.
No, he said the show was lame.
Okay, the show is lame. Whatever
can you get it right?
Jesus,
we haven't disappointed anybody. We're just lame.
We're just lame. You know what I mean? Like, let's not say that the show essentially sucks or is lame because you're burned out on the topic. I've had conversations on this show. I know for a fact you watch us every day on your TV. I know you do. So then you know that we've talked about, hey, we're burned out on it too. But I have news for you. When you do a sports talk show, it's not about what we want to talk about. It's about what the listener cares about.
We talk about the biggest stories in Utah sports every single day.
And
if that's Big 12, we talk about Big 12, Pac-12, NBA, NFL.
Are we clear on that?
That's what we talk about.
We can talk about Britton Covey getting cut if you'd like.
And the good news is,
like, we can talk about that.
And the good news is that BYU fans say we talk too much Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Utah fans say we talk too much BYU.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz fans say we talk too much Knicks. Knicks fans say we talk too much Jazz.
Donnie, please.
I feel like the world's going around. Zayman says, Harrison LaChance interview was awesome. Dude's a beast. Thank you.
He really is, though.
I appreciate that. TC says, the vetting is done by other white people, so I would not put too much credit into that.
How do you know?
Could be.
But
Absolutely could be.
But no, hold on. How do you know that the vetting's done by other white people? Like, do you see the issue with that? That's precisely what I'm getting at here. You're assuming that it's done by other white people. Do you think making a comment about other white people helps a racial issue?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? So let's not say it's done by other white people.
But there is good news.
Like,
I get to say, brother!
Jesus.
Jesus is my brother.
And you're going to say we don't know anything about race. Come on now.
Jake is fired up.
Like, damn.
You've triggered Jake.
Yeah.
Brother! Says, fun fact, the Monty Show has got to be great to be talking about race and non-political. I got the list right here. We're talking about sports talk, and Monty is the #1 show. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. T-Money says, without the DM trade talk, what the F would these clowns going to talk about? College football? Okay.
Well,
was that a compliment? The Nye guy says, Tanner just wants Real Salt Lake talk.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. I can tell you that right now.
You know. Greg Hawkins says, here's the Real Salt Lake talk. They tied their last 2 games. Okay, moving on.
That's right, Pete.
Damn.
Love you, Greg. All right.
Damn.
Why don't we talk about something we all have in common?
Damn.
The fact that we pay far too much for our iPhones.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because this is ridiculous now.
Yeah. So
our iPhone's too expensive, Jake.
So I think we paid. So we both have, iPhone 13 Pro Max, and it's really important you understand the storage options. We have the 1 terabyte model, which I think we paid $12.99 for, if I remember correctly. The new iPhone 14 Pro Max 1 terabyte option is coming out. The pricing on that has some people a little upset. The reason people are a little upset about that is because the new price is $16.99 for an iPhone 14 Pro Max 1 terabyte storage option. That's an issue. So my question just was, and the reason I want to talk about this is, how much are you willing to pay for a phone? Even if it's an installment plan, right? Because that's how we do phones, like new every 2.
Yep.
You're paying a monthly cost or whatever. How much are we willing to pay for phones? And by the way, how long are you going to keep your phone? Because I also think the build quality of phones has, come so far now. It's kind of like this issue with car sales. Cars are so good now. They run for so long that less people are buying cars.
Well, get to brass tacks?
No, I'm not buying the 14. I'm not.
You're not?
I'm not buying the 14.
Wow.
No way, dude. Nope.
You're not going to? I probably will.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that, bro. You
Okay,
can do
so
that.
what
I
is
just
the
don't think it's
threshold?
worth it.
What's the threshold for money?
The threshold, it's not necessarily the price. It's more about price versus what you're getting. I mean, you're essentially charging $400 to $500 more for the most expensive phone because you're getting a better camera. Like, and I'm not even trying to dumb that down. That is like you're getting better camera resolution. It's 48 megapixels. You're able to introduce 8K video capturing, but the problem is that 8K is not an industry standard right now. 4K is just now hitting YouTube as far as resolution quality. So to me, when I read that, I'm like, hey, yeah, that's neat and everything, but that doesn't really move the needle for me.
By the way, Mrs. Monty just walked downstairs with a laptop and 2 bowls of oatmeal.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. A lot of people still going back and forth. Lopes fan Gabe says, Tanner, YouTube is a vast place, my guy. If you think the show is lame, go watch cat videos or something.
Oh, my God, dude. Okay, we don't need to make it personal.
Go
I
watch
love you,
cat
Gabe. Bro, I
videos.
love you, Gabe. That was funny.
Shit.
But let's not. Yeah.
Go watch cat. I love you, Gabe.
Yeah.
Tanner, it's all good, dude. I understand what you're saying. He says, I still love the show, Gabe, but I wish they would talk less Mitchell because we're all burned out over it.
But, okay, again, I need you to answer this question. Okay, talk less Mitchell and talk more what? And RSL is not an answer, with all due respect.
Giggity says, I don't pay squat for iPhones. Android for life. Who's with me? Stop
Here's
it.
when a conversation gets difficult.
You knew the Androiders were going to show up. You knew it.
And Giggity is such a good dude.
Well, was.
Thank you. Was. May he rest in peace.
So you better check yourself.
Come on, man. Let's see. Ken Williams says, guys, you do a great job of getting the word out. I like the show. Great job. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Appreciate you, buddy.
that. Kurt Meyer says, I'm a sports junkie and listen to a lot of sports show. The Monty Show is top cabin. They are very informed and I trust their opinion. Good job, gentlemen. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Greg Hawkins, Tanner, I'm also burned out on the Donovan trade stuff, but I am not a huge NBA guy, more on college football. The NBA guys in our chat probably like it more, which is fine. True.
But I think it's important to point out, that's a very fair comment. football really on the show starts tomorrow. Like, we started Football 50 today. A couple of things we got to vamp up with that segment. It's going to get a little bit better, music, energy. We'll get some stuff built into that. But football talk on a daily basis really starts tomorrow.
Yeah. Cam Harrison says, I'm buying the iPhone 14. That's my guy.
But here's my thing. Are you really willing to pay? What would that be? I guess it depends on your phone plan, but I think just for the installment plan on the device itself is like $30-$40 a month at least. Now, I know that that's not like a left leg of cost, but it's more the premise of it.
It's enough.
Like, it's enough that you notice it, and I feel like when you're, as we've said repeatedly, like, we're doing a lot. There's many big announcements coming. You combine that, like, with inflation and the cost of life and everything we're trying to do. Like, I'm just like, I don't need a new phone yet. I'm just not ready.
Brandon Whiteside said, just got a Fold 4, and I love it. Oh, that
the folding phone is cool.
Is that the phone I think it is? I'm going to look that up.
Why do you like it? What's your? I haven't really researched this a ton, but like, what's your favorite part? I mean, obviously the folding technique, but like, what is your favorite?
It is the phone that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that phone looks amazing.
Yeah.
Well, one, it's an Android, but it's cool that it folds in half. You can have a larger screen. That's my guess. Brandon,
the screen is bigger.
Yeah, you get the larger screen and whatnot. Darshana Ben-Hur says, is BYU part of the Big 12 starting this year? Next year. Almighty Finesse says, these two clowns talking about iPhone. Shake my head. I know. iPhone trash. I can't stand Apple, Ken Williams says.
Well.
Okay. James Knight says, don't judge me. I'm still rolling with an iPhone XR, LOL.
Damn,
wow.
Bro. That's sick.
I wouldn't even say you're rolling. You're more like tumbling.
Tumbling.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Giggity says, let's talk about the recent iPhone security issue. Never heard of it. It's perfect in all ways. In all ways. Steve Jobs is amazing.
Right.
He's dead.
Right.
Let's see. Almighty Finesse says, these two are Jazz fans. We are?
How do you know that?
See, again,
Wait, do you have a poster on the wall behind us of John Stockton or Karl Malone?
Yeah. No, the guy who dominated them.
You know what? Great point.
The guy who has
Great
the
point.
rings. I'm not a Jazz fan.
And no, it wasn't a push-off.
But again, oh God, why would you bring that up? But the funny thing is, that's how we know we're doing it right. Well, you're a Jazz fan. Well, you're not a Jazz fan. These two clowns have a Jordan poster on the wall. We're not Jazz fans. Tariq says Homer Radio. Okay. Ruff's official. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Buckle
Come on.
up.
Let's go.
I disagree with your politics often, but you guys got my respect for going back and talking about the unsubstantiated claims. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Good to see you, Ruff. Always. Cody Strickland, I have a Not 10 cracked and missing pen. A Note 10, is I think what you mean. When I'm ready for it, I'm going to pay $100 insurance to get a replacement for it. Exactly right.
Well played.
Exactly right. Let's see. Cody says Note 10. Yes. Code says Pornhub had 4K before YouTube.
Okay, great.
Okay. That's cool.
I'm glad you're educated on that.
People are laughing about it. It is what it is. Let's see. Caleb Harrison. What's up, my guy?
What's up, dude?
Caleb says, I want a bigger iPhone, but for $16.99, geez.
Well, and you see my point. Like the $16.99 price on paper feels heavy, but then when you put it into a monthly package, you can kind of stomach it.
So do you spend $16.99 on your package monthly?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty much self-explanatory.
Right. Sorry, I misunderstood. Talking with Raphael podcast
on PBS Radio.
Says iPhone for life. Thank you. Tanner still going says talk less Mitchell, talk more other NBA stories. We talked about Westbrook. Dude, by the way, yesterday was not a good basketball day on the show. Went and played some hoop and did not shoot well.
Okay.
Nope. I did not. No, I did not. Nope. Did not shoot well.
Nope.
Okay, let's move on. Caleb says, might just keep my 12, LOL. That's probably not a bad idea.
It's a good phone.
Jared Jensen says, Craven Moorhead is back, and I'm burned out on Donovan.
Craven Moorhead is back.
Arlington Bears. Chris Karn, good morning, friend. He says, I have not paid for a phone in 10 years.
Wow.
Samsung sends me a new phone every 6 months. Android for life. Brother. Love it. Lopes fan says, need our Wrexham FC talk. Let's go. I actually love that show.
Yeah, it's a great show.
The Wrexham show on FX.
You're not going to catch us talking about the club, but the show itself is bomb.
Slang Tang.
Tanner,
there are no other NBA stories. Maybe Miles Bridges. Well, look at the center. Montrezl Harrell. He got off on weed charges today. Well, he didn't.
All gas.
Never mind.
No break.
Never mind. Asgil says the Apple culture is toxic. Okay. Nope. Ruggs not reading that one. No, sir. That's a black hole. No. Brother says I never used an iPhone like 10 long years. Apple is cheap. Android is not lame. Besides, I got the Samsung Galaxy Flip 3 with half a phone and half a tablet. And it cost $1,000, part of T-Mobile.
Okay.
Oh, Pudge. Pudge. We are soulmates. Pudge says, long live the BlackBerry.
The Pearl.
I love BlackBerry. Jake and I had a huge fight when he was in high school because I threw him in the pool.
Douche.
We had a swimming pool at one point when, I actually made money.
Yeah.
And I threw Jake in the swimming pool, and his BlackBerry Pearl was destroyed.
No.
He was really upset.
Yeah.
What's the food story today?
It's National Trail Mix Day.
There it is. National Trail Mix Day.
Yeah.
M&M's in your trail mix?
Hell
or
yes.
not?
Yes. M&M's, peanuts, raisins.
These nuts?
No, peanuts. Yeah. That's what's in my trail mix.
We are giving you a trip for two to the trail mix capital of the world, Las Vegas. The M&M capital of the world. They have two huge M&M stores on the Strip. We are sending you to see BYU and Notre Dame at the Shamrock Series in Las Vegas. Go to Barbecue Pit Stop in Layton, Lehigh, Logan, Salt Lake City, and St. George, or shop online at bbqpitstop.com. Thank you, Harrison LaChance, brought to you by Papa Murphy's Pizza. You're going to order Papa Murphy's tonight. You're going to use the code Monty25, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty25. Huge new sponsor joins the show tomorrow. Full preview of BYU and South Florida, of Utah, the Jutes, and the Florida Gators. That's tomorrow, off on Friday, back on Monday. Tanner, we will try to do better tomorrow, my friend.
Yeah, we will try not to disappoint everybody and their mom, okay?
Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.